A child was reported missing. It didn't take long for them to find that child in a pond unresponsive at the Astoria Park Apartments. EMTs did CPR and took the child to the hospital, but they were pronounced dead upon arrival. Last week's jobs report is likely what triggered a massive sell-off on Wall Street Monday, but Joe Fitter, a finance professor at IU, says the market was due for a correction.
The normal stock market will go through one of these 10% corrections about once every 18 to 24 months.
On Wish TV, he expects both Wall Street and the global markets to bounce back in the coming weeks, and he advises you to buy since stock prices are cheaper at the moment. Police in Indy are learning more about a dog attack that happened Friday night on the west side. John Herrick reports.
In an update on Monday, they said the woman was watching both dogs and was killed when at least one of them attacked her. The dogs were confined to the yard at the time. Indianapolis Animal Care Services took the dogs, and they've since been euthanized. Police have identified the woman who died as Kimberly Williams. She was 60 years old. Investigators say they may never know why the dogs attacked her. John Herrick, 93, WIBC Mobile News.
Indiana's current property tax plan should be replaced with a 7% tax on services. So says Republican State Rep J.D. Prescott.
Right now, you go get your oil changed. You're paying a sales tax currently on your oil and the filter, but you're not paying it on the labor charge.
Right.
This would be 7% sales tax on the labor. You go and get a haircut, those types of issues.
On WIBC's Kendall Casey, he says his plan would bring in about the same in revenue, which is brought in by Indiana's current property tax system. Colts cornerback Kenny Moore is having to go up against wide receiver Josh Downs at Colts training camp.
He's so competitive. He wants to get better each day, and he's a great matchup to make me better.
The team has the day off today and will pick things back up again on Wednesday in Westfield. Traffic on the 5s, Matt Baer.
Northeast side, serious crash. Masters Road south of 96 reported with injury and entrapment. Looking at westbound 70, that crash cleared. Coming out of downtown to the west side, still stop and go traffic Meridian, Illinois to Harding Street. Crash MLK south of 38th Street. And looking at northbound 37, stop traffic Kepler Avenue up to 465 because of construction. Traffic sponsored by Drexel Interiors. Go where the pros go. Drexel Interiors for 1951 cabinetry. Visit Drexel's Kitchen and Bath Design Centers at 146 and River Road, North Shadeland, or online at drexelin.com. I'm Matt Baer with traffic on the 5s. Follow us at WIBC Traffic.
The hot summer and the hot deals are coming at Tom Roush Lincoln. 0% for 60 months is back. Get 0% APR for 60 months on every new 2024 Lincoln Navigator. Plus get an additional $4,000 off MSRP. You can also take $3,000 off every new 2024 Lincoln Corsair 70 available. So get in here for one of those hot summer deals at Tom Roush Lincoln in Fishers.
For well-qualified buyers with approved credit. Not all buyers will qualify. Taxes and dealer fees extra. Stock number L24401. MSRP 107,425. Stock number L24284. MSRP is 43,435. See dealer for complete details.
There's a price war in the insurance business, and you may be paying too much. Call the Term Lifeline right now and see if you can save 40%. $500,000 plans and up, that's our specialty. Even great smokers rates. Protect your family today. Call the Term Lifeline right now for a free quote. 866-549-TERM, 866-549-TERM, 866-549-TERM.
The forecast from the American Standard Cooling Weather Center.
Sunny, hot, and humid through the afternoon. A high of 92 feels like temperatures close to 100. A few scattered showers and storms through the early evening. Mostly cloudy overnight. A low of 67. I'm Wish TV Storm Track 8's Marcus Bailey, 93 WIBC.
Mostly sunny and 79 on Monument Circle. I'm Kirk Darling on the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
You're listening to Rob Kendall.
When we talk about sending money somewhere, we're talking about printing the money because we have no money.
And Casey Daniels.
My government would never lie to me, would they?
On 93 WIBC.
Good morning. It is Tuesday, August 6th. It's 6 minutes after 9 with Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC. So, it's over. Well, at least the surprise element. Kamala Harris has a running mate. Apparently, according to TMZ and also Fox News, they're reporting that she has chosen Minnesota Governor Tim Walz.
This is an interesting pick. If indeed it's true, TMZ reported it. You can basically take it to the bank when TMZ reports that the Associated Press said saying the same thing. So you would tend to think there's now probably a great deal of substance to this. That if indeed she picked Walls, because everybody was kind of all in on, and this is why, like, the media, you just can't, other than for your own, what's and giggles, when these sweet beep stakes in this case or whatever, who's going to pick who, because it was all Mark Kelly and Shapiro in Pennsylvania. Like, that was it's down to 2. And then it ended up not being either one of them. Now, this pick is interesting because he's a big lefty.
Isn't he the guy who changed the Minnesota flag to look more like the
That's
Somalia
correct.
flag?
That's correct. I mean, he's a big lefty. Obviously, Minnesota is just a state overrun by lunatics. And, Ellison's there, and Omar, and, he fits right in with the rest of them. So this is interesting that she did not go with somebody who would help her theoretically in a swing state. She went with somebody who is much more centrist than Walz is. She went all in, which tells me she recognized, or they recognized for her, because she's an idiot, that she's got a problem with the base, and they don't trust her. And this was some nod to them. And if you think Biden-Harris was bad, get ready, Bow. These two clowns, you ain't seen nothing yet if they get in there.
How do you think that works? Somebody gives her a list of people and she goes and talks with them, or is she just told, hey, this is who you're going to go with?
Well, I think every politician is different. Like, nobody told Donald Trump who he was going to pick, right? I think generally, now the playbooks are all going out the window as societal norms crumble in front of us by the second. But I think generally there's you probably start with the big list, and then, you kind of meet with the candidate and say, hey, of these people that we think would be good for you, are any of these right out of the gate? Do you have some issue with any of these people? Cross those people off. And then you start working through the process. What's the personal relationship like? What does this person give you? What group do they appeal to? When it's all said and done, though, it's got to be a person that the candidate, him or herself in this case, is comfortable with, because you got to run as a team. And in the case of Trump, I think that's why he picked Vance. Vance is Trump. If without the kind of over the top wacky personality, but he does have some of that. Trump basically picked himself, right? He's like when Dwight Schrute was trying, right? Dwight Schrute was trying to find, when Dwight became the manager at the office and was trying to find the assistant to the assistant regional manager or whatever, and he picked himself. This is probably different. She's probably letting other people do the majority of the vetting. She was never going to pick Buttigieg. I mean, that was hilarious to me that people were like, oh, Buttigieg did this and that. She's never picking Buttigieg. She's not going to pick somebody that's going to show her up. Walz is the generic white man, right? I mean, he's 60 years old. He's super left. He checks that box, but he is not. I mean, the thing with Shapiro was, hey, he's Jewish. Right? And you are the party of anti-Semitism. Right. You can't pick him. She won't go pick Mark Kelly, because Mark Kelly is, a national hero in terms of being an astronaut. He was going to show her up. She wasn't going to do that. So she picked a guy who checked the leftist box, but yet was in no way going to show her up, and he'll go out there and his job will be to be an attack dog. She'll put him, up in the Michigan, Wisconsin, whatever, and hope that he can deliver for her up there.
So there was a poll done just 2 days ago, and this is from NPR, and it has the favorability rating of all of these potential guys that she was looking at. And when it comes to Tim Walz, only 17% of Americans have a favorable view of him, 12% holding an unfavorable view.
No, but nobody knows who these people are.
Right?
Nobody, it's like Vance. If the media hadn't got into full coordinated attack mode against J.D. Vance, no one would have an opinion on him either, because if you stopped 10 people right now on Monument Circle and you said, let's just do a local thing. Who is the governor of the state of Indiana? What percentage do you think 7 out of 10 people could actually give you the specific name of the governor of the state of India? Just random people on the street.
Yeah, I would hope at least half, 50% would.
That's pathetic.
Yeah, would
right.
get it.
But that's your home state governor. Like maybe if we were lucky, 7 out of 10 people could tell you the name of the governor of the state of Indiana. Now, whether they have a favorable opinion or not, who knows? But nobody's going to know who the governor of Minnesota is other than us. I mean, come on.
So it's not really going to make that much of a difference, right?
No, it's going to come down to and by the way, coming up, I know we're going to get into the economy. We're going to have our good friend, Dr. Michael Munger, Duke economist. He'll be with us to talk about what's going on with the stock market, what's going on with the economy. But it's going to come. It is, right? I mean, it's going to be there's a three-pronged thing. Well, four-pronged. It is the economy, which is now the economy is a separate thing from inflation, right? It was inflation. Now it's the economy and inflation, but we'll kind of count those as one thing. It's the border. It's the foreign policy, specifically now this potential war with Israel and Iran. And then the fourth sort of thing sitting out there is Trump. Right? And the unlikability with many people of Donald Trump. It's sort of it's like, this is so weird because Kamala Harris sucks on the economy, right? Look at the condition of the economy and look at inflation.
Right.
She's in there with Biden on that. Okay, that's Trump. It's the border's a nightmare. She's the border czar.
Clearly.
That's a disaster. Foreign policy.
Wait. She's not the border czar. She's just in charge of getting to the root cause.
Right, and I'm not a midday talk show host on WIBC. I'm just a guy who shows up and talks into the microphone each day. Right. And then you've got the foreign policy, which whether it's Israel or it's Ukraine. I mean, all this stuff is a disaster, right? So by all traditional measures, she should get the doors blown off of her, even with the mainstream national media totally in her camp. But then you have the fourth prong,
which is Trump,
which we warned you, we begged you, we said, please just pick DeSantis and let's all go be happy and let's all get a bunch of traditional conservatism back in our government and let's win by a bunch of points. And no, we couldn't do that. So now the Trump, and we said this months ago, this is not our lift. We told people what we thought. This is the only Trump people's job to lift this guy up across the finish line because his personal negatives are so great that despite everything else being so bad, people are like weighing their options here on what they want to do.
Okay, so Walsey was born in Nebraska, got a college degree in teaching, moved to Minnesota in 1996, took a job as a high school geography teacher and a football coach. He's married with 2 kids, and I'm sure over the next couple days, we'll be finding out all of the dirty laundry about this guy.
No way! No, the media's not going to let that happen. What planet are you living on, lady?
Well,
you think all of a sudden
I'm saying more conservative reporters are going to be finding out stuff.
But what good does that do?
Yeah.
What of Kamala Harris? It's everywhere. It isn't like the morons and the morons. One, they aren't going to listen, even if it's you could stick it right in their face. Force their eyelids open like they do at Guantanamo Bay, and that doesn't matter.
Because you know why? Because she's a woman, Rob.
Look, this guy is. I would find it hard to believe he has a pretty, in terms of like his actual personal life, it seems pretty clean, right? Like he was a member of the military, he's married, he's got a couple of kids. You know, obviously everybody's got their own skeletons, but he seems like, hey, this guy did serve his country. Take his politics out of the equation, seems like a pretty upstanding citizen. He was a member of Congress. He actually, as a member of Congress, was a pretty bipartisan person. Now, I think as everybody else in the Democrat Party, he's gone further and further left to be a survivalist. When he was elected in the mid-2000s, he was right there, center blue dog Democrat, but that's obviously changed. By the way, he is totally on-demand abortion advocate man.
Yes, he is. They've said he's ironclad when it comes to that. And he's also secured protections for transgender people.
Yeah. Well, it's Minnesota, right?
Right.
Now, Minnesota it's not a swing state, but it's not California. But the Democrat, it's what a DFL, is that the name of it? They're not technically called Democrats. Democrat Farm Labor. Anyway, it's a little bit different, but it's the Democrats. That party, those people there are complete insane asylum people. And there are Republicans there, which makes it, it's usually within 3 or 4 points. But the actual Democrat Party itself are a bunch of nut job weirdos. So that'll tell you who this guy is politically. The fact that he is the the face of the Democrat Party in Minnesota.
It is Kendall and Casey. It's 93 WIBC.
Every 4 years, an event so big it captures the entire world's attention. The passing of the torch and the competitive flame.
They may well have done it.
The best of the best going for the gold.
Got the gold. Back to back.
The feats of skill, the competition, the name calling.
I'm not going to be nice.
And this competition lasts all the way to November 5th. Follow the games of the 47th presidential election on 93 WIBC.
Mike loves summer in Indy, but he hates to paint. So he called Rhino Shield.
Our home is basically a contemporary, and we just started noticing that the paint was just fading and just looked like garbage. We had received a postcard from Rhino Shield, and we decided to take a look at it.
Rhino Shield's formulated for our specific climate here in Indiana.
We had problems in the past with painters. They leave debris and everything. Well, we didn't have that with Rhino Shield.
And right now, you can get the guaranteed protection of Rhino Shield for 10% off the regular price. Plus, there's more great news. Rhino Shield has partnered with Green Sky Financing to offer affordable monthly payments with 0% interest loans to qualified customers.
The thing about Rhino Shield, the heat gain has been reduced, and we save $70 a month. You don't hear that about any type of paint.
Here's Rhino Shield Shane Smith.
Call me at 888-RHINO-41. That's 888-RHINO-41.
Don't paint. Go Rhino.
Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
It's common knowledge that after age 30, our metabolism changes. We have less energy and gain weight easier. There's a way to feel better, not in years or months, but sometimes in just days.
I'm Chuck Norris. I tried everything. Working with a team of health experts, we came up with Morning Kick. Morning Kick is a revolutionary new formula that combines all my favorite supplements into one daily drink.
Morning Kick has probiotics to help you lose weight, prebiotics for digestion, superfoods for muscles and joints, and powerful anti-aging supplements. It'll help you feel youthful, energized, and helps manage stress.
I look and feel better than I have in years.
Go to roundhouseprovisions.com, use code EASY, or text EASY to 511-511 and claim 40% off. Roundhouseprovisions.com, code EASY.
Every purchase comes with our 90-day money-back guarantee. You could be feeling these changes within just a couple of days.
Text EASY to 511-511.
These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Tax fees may apply.
Hey, John, why so glum?
I just got let go. The company's downsizing. This is the third time in the last 2 years. I'm done with this.
Have you thought about My Computer Career? I've heard they can train you for a career in IT in just a few months, including cybersecurity and the basics of AI. And you don't need prior training or experience. Now that's a recession-resistant career.
Wow, thanks. I'll check them out.
Go to mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation. mycomputercareer.edu. Financial aid is available for qualified students, including the GI Bill.
Uline is here for the hard workers, for the ones rolling up their sleeves, working round the clock, and getting the job done. You're dedicated to doing what it takes to keep a business growing. Uline is dedicated to helping you make that happen. Working 7 days a week, staying fully stocked and ready to ship any of our 41,000 items the same day. Uline, your shipping and industrial supply specialists. Visit uline.com.
The doctor's office that accidentally mixed up your files has your social security number. The power company that mistakenly cut your service has your payment info. And the hotel that lost your reservation has your passport number. You need LifeLock because your personal info is in endless places that can expose you to identity thieves. LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points every second. If your identity is stolen, we'll fix it, guaranteed or your money back. Save up to 40% with promo code NEWS at lifelock.com. Terms apply.
Can you hear me?
So can your customers. Get your message heard. Text business to 71007 now. Get results with Radio 1.
So work on the highway started 16 years ago, and now it's going to run the length of the entire state. I-69 interchange with I-465 officially open to traffic. It's been under construction since 2008. and they've been working on the stretch between Martinsville and Indianapolis since 2020. But Holcomb, as well as Mitch Daniels and Mike Pence, they all got together for a ceremony called Connecting the Crossroads, and today you can actually drive on it.
Did anybody ask Holcomb about his buddy Jamie Knoll? Was that asked at any point? Hey, that guy who's facing 31 felonies, your best friend and closest political ally. Would you like to comment on that, sir?
Would your BFF? No, he said he was going to wait until all the investigation was done.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
How noble of him.
So we've got 8 miles of extra lanes on 465, 26 miles of new interstate, and lots of new and rebuilt bridges. Have you ever been the first to drive on a highway? You'd be like Kramer. It's so luxurious.
I have opened multiple roads because I was a big proponent of roads. It's one thing I believe government should invest heavily in because everybody uses it and everybody benefits from it. I was a big roads person. In fact, fully funded $50 million worth of road-related infrastructure before the people who came after me totally bastardized it and blew it for everybody. But at the time, it would seem like a really good idea because I do believe, I'm a firm believer. Things like this, now, look, could it have been done more fiscally in a more fiscal efficient manner? Could it have been done? I think some select people got the benefit over others, et cetera, yes. But roads, by and large, roads, bridges, sidewalks are things the government should do because they're things that everybody uses and everybody can feel good about investing in, and it benefits the community. So I don't have, other than I think it probably could have been done more fiscally responsible. Something like this, it saves commute time. It helps in enhance commerce. It makes Indiana more attractive. Things like that. Not going to have a big issue with, and it's something the government probably should be doing.
Yeah, there's a lot of businesses right around that area that are excited about it. So construction isn't completely finished. That's going to continue on through the end of this year, but that interchange is open for travel starting today. Something that
Are you going to go drive it?
Oh, yeah, just so that I can be one of the first on it.
Absolutely. We get you one of those flags like the UN guys have, those diplomat flags. So you can just go it'd be like the Autobahn. You go as fast as you want.
Ooh, that would be fun. Get a special license plate.
Absolutely.
And then if I do get pulled over, I could say, do you know who I am?
Absolutely.
Look at my flag.
Have you ever played the Do You Know Who I Am card at any point in your life?
No.
Never?
Especially not when I get pulled over. No, I'm too scared. Like the adrenaline's going and, things like that.
Better than me?
Mm-hmm. Why? You've played that?
No,
you said, do you know who I am?
No, because the 50-50 shot, that's going to work against me.
Right, that's true. Well, we were just going to let you off with a warning, but now that we know who you are, we're giving you a ticket.
I went to get lunch yesterday, and I sit down, and I had my WIBC shirt on, and the guy comes up to me, very, very nice guy, and he goes, "Are you?" Yes. I thought I recognized your voice. Oh, thank you. Have a nice day.
Was this the guy preparing your lunch?
No, he was like the manager or whatever. Very nice guy. I eat at this place quite a bit. So anyway, yeah. I've never, because 50-50, it's going to work against me.
So the Senate has passed a bill officially designating the bald eagle as America's national bird. You probably thought it already was, didn't you?
I never thought about it either way because it doesn't affect me at all. I'd like my government to spend time on things that help me, like, I don't know, the price of food being, 25% higher than it was a couple of years ago, gas being up and around $4 a gallon, or 10 million plus people illegally pouring across the so things like that, Casey, are what interest me in my government doing, not naming animals the official whatever of our country.
Yeah, well, now we do have a national bird. It's got to go to the House of Representatives first.
Well, thank God, Casey, because that was at the top of the list.
You couldn't continue on without it. So many people thought it was already for more than 240 years. The bill was sponsored by Amy Klobuchar,
of course,
and they looked for somebody whose state had a large population of bald eagles, and Minnesota apparently ranks second behind Alaska. So they went to her and said, hey, you've got a lot of bald eagles in Minnesota, so why don't you sponsor this bill?
How does this help anyone? Like how does this help?
National pride? Does it help with that?
Yeah, because with half the country supporting people who paint Hamas supporting slogans on monuments. National pride. That's something that's really front and center in this country right now. Yeah, I'm sure all those campus protesters are going to just drop everything now that we've named the what is it, the official bird of the country?
The national bird.
The national bird. They're going to say, wait a second. We got a national bird now. Everyone salute them. Yeah, right, sure. National pride.
I wonder if Tim Walz, who is now now Kamala Harris's vice president pick if he's going to be out running around saying he's from the state with the national bird, Minnesota.
Who knows? But this is what our people in Washington waste their time on. They can't or won't. They won't. They could. They won't solve any real problems. And so as such, here we are. It's like in Indiana a couple of years ago where they tried to name the state sandwich,
the pork
tenderloin. And then you may famously, were you here?
Mm-hmm.
Or was it the blonde lady, the other blonde lady? Was it you?
Yeah.
When the state rep at 3 a.m. sent me that message on Facebook, I don't know what he had been doing, or I'm just speculating, because he got real mouthy. And then the next morning, I told him exactly what I thought of him, and I was going to make him real famous, and then he quickly backpedaled out of it. So I don't know if what had been going on, but yeah, that was you, right? You were here for
Are you
all
talking about the tenderloin?
Yeah. He tried to tell me what he thought of me for making fun of them for wasting time on an official state sandwich, and then I told him exactly what was going to happen Monday on the show, and then he quickly backpedaled out of how sorry he was, and we agree on more things than we disagree on, and I said, so how much had you consumed?
How much had you had to drink when you were texting me at 3 a.m? The pork tenderloin never actually became Indiana's official sandwich, though, right?
No, I don't think so. But I think about how much time they wasted on it.
Right.
Right.
And kept you up at 3 a.m, or at least woke you up texting you.
This is the point, though. Why aren't people working on things that matter for us?
Like fixing the economy?
Yes.
For example?
Let's start there. Hey, speaking of which,
yeah.
What is the Dow doing today? I don't even see a post. How bad are things out there right now?
It's up a little. Well,
Is it up?
Well, it's better than yesterday.
Well, that's almost impossible to be worse than yesterday.
Right, exactly.
Hey, wait a second. It's 2022, so I'm going to Dow Jones. See, what did you people do? But what is it now? It looks like it's pretty much, it's pretty much, this can't be right. Anyway, it's not as bad as it was yesterday, but we're going to find out what the heck happened yesterday. Our good friend, Dr. Michael Munger, Duke economist, going to be with us. Tell us what in the world is going on.
Yep, that's next on 93 WIBC.
Are you ready to smell better naked? I'm Dr. Shannon Klingman, the OBGYN creator of Lumi, the whole body deodorant that's clinically proven to control odor for 72 hours on pits, feet, privates, and beyond. It's pH optimized to safely and effectively control odor anywhere you have it, but wish you didn't. Plus, it's proven to work better than a shower with soap alone. Whether you shower twice a day or 3 times a week, Lumi works better. And who doesn't want zero body odor? With over 200,000 5-star reviews, I'm so sure you're going to love it, or you can return it for free.
There's a special offer for listeners. Use code BETTER and get 15% off your first purchase with code BETTER, like the Lumi Starter Pack, Acidified Body Wash, or new Lumi Plus Sweat Control. That's LUME Deodorant.com, code BETTER for 15% off your first purchase. Love it or return it for free. That's LUME Deodorant.com, code BETTER to save 15% today.
Go where the pros go. Drexel Interiors. For 1951 cabinetry, visit Drexel's Kitchen and Bath Design Centers at 146th and River Road, North Shadeland, or drexelin.com.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level. On the go.
The pick is in. It's sunny and 80 degrees downtown. I'm Kurt Darling. Here's what's trending at 9:30. Vice President Kamala Harris has made her pick for VP. It's Minnesota Governor Tim Walz. The 60-year-old Democrat served in the House for 12 years before being elected governor of Minnesota in 2018 and re-elected in 2022. Walz is thought to be of some help for Harris in key Midwestern battleground states. Fighting between Israel and Iranian-backed groups continues.
This morning, there was yet another Iran-backed attack into this country, drones and rockets being fired. It comes as we continue to follow a major story out of the Middle East overnight, where an Iran-backed militia targeted a base in Iraq that was housing American forces. We do know multiple U.S. troops were injured. We are waiting updates on their conditions.
Fox's Trey Yanks. The United States men's basketball team is looking to lock up a spot in the Olympic semifinals. Team USA facing Brazil in the quarterfinals today in Paris. The U.S. is 9-0 against Brazil all time at the Olympic Games. Your opening bell report on 93 WYBC brought to you by Absolute Wealth Management, LLC. After yesterday's dismal day, stocks are rebounding slightly. The Dow is up 68 to 38,936. The NASDAQ is up 88 to 18,102. And the S&P 500 is up 23 to 5,240. I'm Kirk Darling, on the level, on the go, and on WYBC.com.
Indiana adventure is near. Come to Grant County this year.
Get ready for incredible speed and high-octane fun. The Indy Airstrip Attack returns to Marion, Indiana Airport August 9th through 11th. This fast-paced racing event showcases some of the most powerful cars in the world. Presented by Revolution and Shift Sector. Get details at showmegrantcounty.com. Grant County, Indiana. Classic cool.
Indiana adventure is near. Come to Grant County this year.
Healthcare.gov is here for you when life happens. If you lost your health coverage because of turning 26, going off Medicaid, leaving your job, or moving, you could be eligible to enroll in new coverage now. And if you need to update your coverage because of marriage or having a baby, you could also be eligible. But don't wait. There's a limited time to enroll. Check your eligibility at healthcare.gov today. Life happens. Get covered. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Sometimes I struggle to get to sleep. My body stopped for the day, but my mind is still running. So I take ZzzQuil.
ZzzQuil, the world's #1 sleep aid brand, has a range of non-habit-forming products to fit you and your family's needs. Invest in a great night's sleep for the best you tomorrow.
I'm awake and ready to take on anything.
Better days start with ZzzQuil nights. Explore our products at ZzzQuil.com. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Sinus pressure, congestion, snoring, being unable to sleep, being unable to breathe. Yep, it's another sinus infection. You've Googled, watched videos, tried over-the-counter sprays, medications, and home remedies, but nothing ever works. There must be some kind of treatment that can help, right? Indianapolis Sinus Center understands how draining it can be when you try treatment after treatment without any relief. That's why they've been serving and treating the community for over 50 years. Indianapolis Sinus Center has performed thousands of procedures and helped thousands of patients find lasting relief they didn't know was possible. Patients like you. If you've had enough of sinus pain, pressure, and congestion, schedule a visit with Indianapolis Sinus Center today. Call 317-528-9650 and take the first step toward breathing easy. 317-528-9650. That's 317-528-9650 or visit IndianapolisSinusCenter.com.
Our main streets are whitewashed windows and vacant stores. Seems like
Casey, I don't know if you've noticed, but the stock market's kind of a mess right now.
Yeah, it didn't do so good yesterday, did it?
By not so good, like maybe the worst it's ever done.
Yeah, in at least a long time.
You're always so darn positive.
Well,
and I love that about you.
Hopefully it'll bounce back. But you know what? We've got someone to help us figure it out.
Like with everything, we've got a guy. It is Kendall and Casey show. I'm Rob Kendall. It's Casey Daniels. Let's go to the WIBC hotline. One of the greatest, most smartest, most brilliant, most charismatic minds of all in all of economics, Duke professor Dr. Michael Munger, joins us now on the WIBC hotline. All right, Munger. So you and I met some 16 years ago when the economy was collapsing, and here we are again. Why do we keep running into each other like this?
I don't know which causes which. Do we only talk when there's trouble, or does our talking cause trouble?
What is going on? Why is everybody losing all their money?
Look, here's the thing. Economists are really bad at predicting the future, but we're great at predicting the past. And the immediate past is our specialty. So any economist that you called would have a very persuasive explanation about what happened yesterday. The fact is, nobody knows. What we call the market is an index of a whole bunch of different stocks. The prices of those things all move for different reasons. Sometimes they all move together and we say, oh, what a big day that was. But the fact is, each stock moves for different reasons. The big story, I think, is that the economy is not doing as well as, let's be honest, many of the media have tried to persuade us that they're doing, so that will benefit the incumbent presidential administration in his, now her, election campaign. Because if the economy is doing well, voters tend to vote for the incumbent. So we've been hearing how great the economy is. And then all of a sudden, actually, I guess I would compare it to when the media finally discovered that Uncle Joe was not actually capable of having a conversation with another adult. He's great. He's terrific. Okay, no, it's terrible. It's a disaster. So I think there's some of the same thing. Unemployment rate is high. There's high inflation. There isn't much investment. It looks like the Fed is worried. A bunch of people in suits are having meetings when I watch TV. That can't be good. And so a bunch of people are saying, I made a lot of money recently on the stock market. I think I'm going to cash that in. I'm going to turn that into some other kind of asset and then weather the storm.
You and I, Dr. Michael Munger, our guest, Duke economist, you and I have had this conversation for 16 years about eventually printing all the money. I mean, this was when Bush was printing the money, and then we had Obama printing the money, and then we had Trump printing the money, and now we have Biden printing the money, and maybe it's Harris now printing the money. You and I have had this conversation for 16 years. Eventually, this has to catch up with us. At some point, does that have any factor into this?
Sure. A big problem that the U.S. has is that our debt has increased so much. We have decided that being able to spend future generations' money is much better than doing it through taxes. And both parties have done this, as you said. And the fact is that now, like any company, like any entity, if the amount of debt that you have is just so much, people are a little bit worried about your ability to repay it. It reduces the degrees of freedom, that is the different things the government can do. So that is another factor, is the very large amount of the money supply and the fact that the Federal Reserve is using that money supply to buy U.S. debt. So we borrow money, and then the Fed prints money to buy the bond that borrows the money. That money's not coming from anywhere. So sure, I think all of that's a background factor. But I really think that the big thing is, well, let me put it this way. Stocks are a price about what I believe to be the future profitability of a company. And that expectation about future profitability can swing wildly. It can swing based on what I think taxes are going to be, what investment's going to be, what's the future of consumer demand. All of those things, people downgraded their expectations in the last week, and this may not stop anytime soon.
You have children, right, Munger? I mean, they're grown now, but you have the children.
Yeah, thanks for pointing out I'm old. I appreciate that, Rob.
Well, the point in this is I now have the children, like as in one child. And I don't know if you remember when we first met, I was a somewhat neurotic, highly strung individual. I am still that. However, now that when you have a child, everything else kind of pales in comparison. So there was a time where I would have really freaked out about this. Now, once you've had a child, even the economy collapsing doesn't compare to the hell on earth with raising a toddler. So I just don't freak out about this anymore. Am I wrong to be so calm?
This has happened before. It'll be okay. The short term, I think the reason that the media is so upset is that the timing couldn't be worse if you're a Democrat, because this is really going to hurt the celebration, basically the coronation that they're trying to hold for Kamala Harris.
Mm-hmm.
And so that makes it very difficult to tell this story. If the economy goes in the tank, the Republicans will win. That'll just happen.
It's almost like the lies have caught up with them.
To be fair, they've been telling stories for a long time, and it works. And like George said on Seinfeld, if you believe it, it's not a lie.
Okay, so let's assume that tomorrow you're declared king of the U.S. What is the one monetary move that you would make to better the economy?
I wouldn't do anything. I mean, if you look at Milei in Argentina, what he's trying to do is to say 2 years from now things will be better. So if I were king tomorrow, stock market would really tank, because I would say we're going to stop this enormous uncontrolled growth of the money supply and of debt. And in the short term, that would be absolutely catastrophic. So probably we shouldn't have me be king, because I'd probably be assassinated.
Well, you and I have been, Michael Munger, Dr. Michael Munger, a Duke economist, is our guest. You and I have been having this conversation for years, that the politicians never let people feel the pain they need to feel. So this crap is just going to keep happening, right? Because it's all kind of made up. And you're right. You do need 2 years of pain to get out of the pain they've been causing for 30 years.
Yeah, but what Casey said before was right, too. At some point, you do have to feel the pain. All we can do is put it off. And the difficulty is the pain is worse if you put it off. Now, I can understand that. I would rather feel pain tomorrow rather than today, but it's going to be enough worse that I think we should start to be concerned. Somebody, and I don't see the Republicans doing this either, somebody needs to say we actually have to act like grown-ups, and there aren't any grown-ups. What happens is the Republicans say we will buy your votes with tax cuts. The Democrats say we will buy your votes with spending increases. Nobody's saying we are going to tax Rob Kendall's kid.
Yeah, we should. We should tax that kid, though, because she's taxing me right now, Munger.
She's not working. She has no job. So what do you think that John and Jane Smith should be worried about the most and the least right now?
The difficulty that we have is that the amount of debt, if interest rates go up, is going to be large enough that government borrowing is going to start to crowd out private borrowing. And what that means is there won't be any money available for companies who want to invest in building new jobs. The economy is going to become more and more sluggish. It's like a bunch of leeches are pulling the blood out of your leg. And, you have to run a marathon. So and it's slow. It doesn't happen all at once. But these leeches, inflation, the debt, the need to repay the interest on the debt, those things they're just slowly growing over time. And we're also creating a lot of new set-asides where the government is taking tax money and then giving it to some group that deserves it more than you do for some reason. And what that means is we have less and less government money to do the things that we actually all agree government should be doing. So two things are the economy is going to become increasingly sluggish, and the government in a crisis is going to have fewer ways of responding to it. And both of those, it may be hard to pick out because politicians are going to blame each other, but things are just going to get worse, and no one's really going to have an explanation because it's these deep background causes.
So what do you think that normies should be doing right now?
The same thing as always. Don't take on new debt. Try to save if you can. Worry about what's going to happen for your retirement. And a lot of people are just not in a position monetarily where they can do any of those things. They're living paycheck to paycheck. So that's all easy for me to say. Like Rob said, I'm rich as heck. What are actual people supposed to do?
Okay, so before we let you go, I have had this pondered this for many, many years. Any time the economy goes south, they always point at the guy running the Federal Reserve and go, you fix it. This is your fault. You need to cut interest rates. Why does that guy just not tell those people where to stick it? Why is he always so nice to those politicians? Why doesn't the guy running the Fed or girl running the Fed ever stand up for themselves?
Well, they can't because part of their job is to be the scapegoat. They're supposed to stand there and have people throw mud at them. But Austin Goolsbee actually thought the Chicago economist Austin Goolsbee did a good thing the other day in responding to just this question. He was an advisor for President Obama. And he's a sensible guy. He's a leftist, but he's a sensible guy. And he said, look, the Fed has two jobs. One is to try to manage the interest rate, and the other is to accommodate debt. We're supposed to try to maintain full employment. That's it. It is not our job to worry about making whole people who took gigantic risks and then lost in the stock market. That just has to work its way out. And so to hear a leftist economist saying, look, this kind of stuff happens, you just have to let it run its course. Now, he's not in office. To be fair, he's not in office right now. But that's a very sensible thing to say. This happens now and then. The fact that you think there's a problem that rich people are losing money doesn't mean the government should do anything. That's on them. The rest of us should just hunker down.
I agree. Where can people find you if they'd like to read more of your fabulous musings and help you become even richer?
Well, on Twitter, I am at Mungowitz, Mungowitz, and I have a podcast called The Answer is Transaction Cost, a fabulously popular podcast called The Answer is Transaction Costs.
He's charming, he's charismatic, and look, I tell people this all the time, Munger. You are on the Mount Rushmore of people who inspired me to get into this game, so without you, there is no me, so everybody should just be thanking you.
Or blaming.
I think.
I said I want to be like that guy. And, well, there you go. Dr. Munger, you're the best. Thank you, my friend.
Thank you.
It's Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC.
Coming up on Tony Katz today, the pick is in from Kamala Harris. Will we find out today? That's after the news at noon on 93 WIBC.
The doctor's office that accidentally mixed up your files has your social security number. The power company that mistakenly cut your service has your payment info. And the hotel that lost your reservation has your passport number. You need LifeLock because your personal info is in endless places that can expose you to identity thieves. LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points every second. If your identity is stolen, we'll fix it, guaranteed or your money back. Save up to 40% with promo code NEWS at LifeLock.com. Terms apply.
Transform your home with Galaxy Concrete Coatings. Say goodbye to cracked, stained floors and hello to durable, stunning surfaces that last. Their cutting-edge technology ensures a beautiful finish every time, and you get to pick out from their many colors. Upgrade your home today like I did. Galaxy Concrete Coatings. They're for garage floors, driveways, pool decks, and patios. They come with a lifetime warranty and one-day professional installation. Call now for a free estimate. 877-417-0635. They're also online at galaxyconcretecoatings.com.
Check out what's going on with 93 WIBC.
Listen to Hammer and Nigel this week for your chance to win 4 tickets to the 406 FMX High Air Tour at the Hoosier Lottery Grandstand at the Indiana State Fair, August 9th and 10th.
More info online at WIBC.com.
So home prices have been rising faster than incomes, which can be a problem for a lot of homeowners because the value of the home, as it rises, so does the cost to maintain it. And throw on property taxes and home insurance rates rising as well. Well, we've got a big problem, don't we?
Yeah, and in this state specifically, here's what's fascinating, and we've kind of started to see this play out. And one of the great things about this property tax debate that is now happening, you're welcome, is because it is shining the light on how kind of screwed up government is collectively in the state. And J.D. Prescott, who was with us yesterday, who has the state rep who has this bill to get rid of property taxes, he mentioned this, and then other people have mentioned this as well, which is you have budgets and taxes that are totally out of control. And home prices also, obviously, is the central part of this, which is why the taxes are going up, the assessments, in these kind of 9 or 10 counties here in central Indiana. Like, there's like 9 or 10 counties where it's completely just, it is so far gone from the level of reasonability that you look around and go, oh my gosh, something's got to be done. And in these 9 or 10 counties specifically, that's absolutely correct. What's going on in Hendricks and Johnson and Marion, and Hamilton and Hancock, Morgan, the real estate prices have just exploded, and what it's doing to property taxes, and then down, and I've talked to multiple people about this, what it's now doing to rent. I mean, you're getting these people who are just getting rent that is skyrocketing, and all of that has got to be addressed. But the problem is that this state has so forgotten about rural America. The Holcomb Hupfer Incorporated Good Time Fun Gang has repeatedly thumbed their noses at anything that doesn't take place in those 9 or 10 counties, and they have no respect whatsoever for rural life in this state and the people who live it and the way they live it. And they have directed, if you look at where all the business gets directed, where all the economic development gets directed, and don't give me this crap about rural broadband or trails or whatever. That is not driving people to communities. It's not sustaining communities. It's the jobs, it's the infrastructure, it's all of these things. And that is going to these 9 or 10 donut counties. And then you've got quite a bit of investment in Fort Wayne. You've got quite a bit of investment that they have deliberately targeted in northwestern Indiana. And for the most part, some in Evansville, some in Jefferson. That's it, right? So you have all of these counties who are saying, wait a second, we're not experiencing the same thing that everybody else. Of course, our way of life is literally dying in front of us, right? We're stagnant. We have no growth. We have no incentives. We have no great jobs. But we don't have the same problems that they have because you pushed everybody here. And so now you have, like you're saying, these home prices and rent prices for people that if you live in central Indiana are completely surpassing what you're making in terms of wages, and you simply cannot keep up.
Well, it was always the American dream to have a home. And now with that and the property taxes and the record inflation, it has people questioning, Is home ownership still a good investment?
Well,
forever, it was always like if you're renting, you're just throwing money away, right? Because at least with a home, you have some equity.
Pete the Planner and I, is Pete the Planner still on Sundays here on WIBC? Is he? Okay, Pete the Planner and I had this conversation on his show years ago. This was when I was still an elected person. And were like the only two people that were in this camp that renting ain't all that bad of a deal, right? Especially if you're a younger or single person, that there isn't necessarily all that much logic in owning a home. Why? You got to cut grass. You've got to repair the house. You can get. You sometimes have too much space. There's all these things. We had a big, this was 10 plus years ago, we had this conversation. And you also had some level of economic control as a renter. And Kev will back me up on this, right? Like, you know what your expenses are every month. You know, here's what I pay. Here's basically what the electric is. I got, if you got an internet bill, you, Kevin, within $10 or $20 can basically budget each month. Here's my expenses.
Yeah, it's all laid out for you.
If you're a homeowner,
it changes.
It does. It fluctuates dramatically.
Especially when you throw maintenance in there.
And so there was a lot of merit once you got past the government propaganda bullcrap 10, 15 years ago to saying, hey, renting's not necessarily, you're throwing your money away thing. That's a thing. And there is merit to that. But in terms of the risk that you have as a renter versus the risk you have as a homeowner, now rent is increasing so much and so dramatically, and the apartment complexes or duplexes or whatever it is can do this because people are being forced out of the home ownership game. And so now the rent is so high that rent is so much higher than what you would have in a mortgage payment. It's almost now, in many cases, the reverse of what it was before, because if you got in like I did, right before the thing started going
with a
way
good
up,
interest rate,
or people before me even got better interest rates, there's no way you would take on rent because it's way higher than whatever your mortgage is going to be.
But here's the thing. What year was your house built?
Early 80s.
Okay, so have you had any septic or roof problems or furnace issues, things of that nature? Because when you get a home that's at a certain age, then you got to consider all of those big maintenance factors.
Right now, Casey, I'm a hoity-toity town person, so I have municipal water and sewer. I'm not one of those people with the septic problem.
Right.
But you're right. You're absolutely right. And I think the furnace was a new one was put in a couple years before we bought the house. But you're right. At any time, and this is something I think of because I'm a neurotic OCD person. At any time, when is this roof going to cave in, or whatever, and you're stuck as a homeowner, right?
And if you haven't budgeted for that emergency or that expense down the road, boy, you're in a tough spot. So more than 1 in 4 homeowners with mortgages are considered cost burdened, meaning they spend more than 30% of their income on housing costs.
And that is an unsustainable level, right? I mean, you for the average person, not just to be able to pay the bills, that's getting unsustainable in terms of being able to live, period. But you want people participating in the economy. And the participation in the economy is with discretionary income. And when so much of your income
is going to your home, where you live,
it takes you out of that discretionary income game, which is the entertainment and whatever that drive us as a society.
Yep. Okay, I wanted to mention this to you. This was a little clip from Diego Morales, our Secretary of State, and he just posted this yesterday.
Hey, hang on just a second. I think Kevin is having trouble. Even Kevin didn't want to play Diego Morales talking. What?
He just posted a 19-second clip online yesterday, and the entire point of the message was to let you know what time the Secretary of State office is open.
Happy Monday, Hoosiers. Indiana Secretary of State Diego Morales here, starting my day bright and early in our beautiful State House. Remember, our doors at the Secretary of State's office open at 7 a.m.
That was it.
I don't know what it sounds like when you are greeted at the gates of hell, but there's probably that guy on a loop. What does he do all day? What does he do all day, Casey?
Well, Here's what I'm wondering. Did someone tell him that he needed a bigger presence on social media? And he was like, well, what do I talk about? And they were like, well, I don't know.
No, I think he's come to that conclusion himself. I think if you were to look up self-absorbed narcissist in the dictionary, there'd be a giant pig. By the way, did we ever figure out how Diego voted in a county different from where he took his homestead credit?
No.
Have we ever figured that out? What the hell does this guy do all day? Does his brother-in-law, does he still have that cushy six-figure salary job there? What a joke. What does Diego Morales do all day? If you work in the Secretary of State's office, you need not give your name. You shall remain anonymous. At Rob M. Kendall on Twitter. You can DM me. You can at rob@wibc.com. You can call the hotline, 317-684-8444. You can manipulate your voice if you want. What does Diego Morales do all day?
Okay, so coming up, we've got Donald Trump was hanging out with a streamer, and also it's True Crime Tuesday, and Aphrodite Jones is going to join us on the way from 93 WIBC.
The Indiana State Fair is back, and so is American Dairy Association Indiana's renowned Dairy Bar. From August 2 through 18, celebrate your State Fair visit with this year's Dairy Bar featured treats: the Blue Ribbon Blueberry Milkshake, the Hot Honey Pepperoni Pull, and the Melty Mess. And while you're at the fair, be sure to visit the Ag Hort building and welcome the Cheese Lady, Sarah Kaufman, plus Nancy Baker back to Indiana. During the early days of the fair, Sarah and Nancy will be turning over 1,000 pounds of Pace Dairy cheese into a gigantic cheese sculpture you won't want to miss. The Dairy Bar, the giant cheese sculpture, State Fair Traditions, August 2 through 18. See you there.
Brought to you by American Dairy Association Indiana, your Hoosier Dairy Farm families. Find out more at wintersdrinkmilk.com.
Hey, this is Pastor Micah Beckwith.
And I'm Pastor Nathan Peternell.
And we serve at Life Church, and we got a podcast that we wanted to tell you about called Jesus, Sex, and Politics.
Yeah, you know all those things that the culture doesn't want to talk about that will scare you? Yeah, that's our bread and butter. We love it.
We're going to equip you on how to defend conservative constitutional values based in God's Word in this podcast. So tune in to Jesus, Sex, and Politics
wherever you get your podcasts.
Lanny went to college and racked up huge debt.
A little bit over $100,000.
For a degree he couldn't use? Now what?
I had a friend that went to my computer career and they talked to me about it.
He was done in just months.
I did do it online.
They even helped him get hired immediately after graduation.
One of the things I love about IT is that you can work from anywhere you want.
You could become an IT pro in just months with zero experience at My Computer Career.
It worked for me, and I know it can work for you.
It's not rocket science. It's mycomputercareer.edu.
The hot summer and the hot deals are coming at Tom Roush Lincoln. 0% for 60 months is back. Get 0% APR for 60 months on every new 2024 Lincoln Navigator. Plus get an additional $4,000 off MSRP. You can also take $3,000 off every new 2024 Lincoln Corsair 70 available. So get in here for one of those hot summer deals at Tom Roush Lincoln in Fishers.
For well-qualified buyers with approved credit. Not all buyers will qualify. Taxes and dealer fees extra. Stock number L24401. MSRP 107,425. Stock number L24284. MSRP is 43,435. See dealer for complete details.
Did you know you can get your prescriptions for less at your local pharmacy? You can with GoodRx. It's the free app that can save you money on your medications. Just search for your prescription, choose the pharmacy and the price that works best for you, and then show your GoodRx coupon to your pharmacist at the drop-off counter. GoodRx works at over 70,000 pharmacies, including Walmart, Rite Aid, and Walgreens, and it works whether you have insurance or not. It's easy to save. Next time you drop off your prescription, check GoodRx. To start saving today, go to GoodRx.com. GoodRx is not insurance.
Coming up in 2 minutes, investigators trying to piece together what led to a child dying on the west side. Plus, this IU professor says you shouldn't worry too much about the stock market tumble. That and more coming up. From the Technology Recyclers studios after Fox News, you're listening to 93 WIBC, WIBC HD1 Indianapolis. It's 10 o'clock.
This is a Fox News alert. The Democratic presidential ticket is set. I'm Dave Anthony. The AP reports Vice President Harris has picked Tim Walz as her running mate. He's the governor of Minnesota, who edged out the other finalists being considered, Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro. Fox's Brian Yennis reports from Philadelphia, where the governor will be at Vice President Harris's side at a rally tonight.
He's a former high school teacher. He was in the National Guard. He is somebody who is known for being plain spoken. He has experience in Congress, serving as 6 terms in the House of Representatives. And this was a pick that was being pushed by progressives, including Senator Bernie Sanders, as well as the United Auto Workers Union.
The Republican reaction has been quick. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis calls this the most left-wing ticket in history. Senator Tom Cotton has told Fox by not picking Shapiro and choosing Walz instead.
Kamala Harris is simply catering here to her far-left, pro-Hamas element in the Democratic Party.
And in a few hours, Trump running mate J.D. Vance will campaign in Philadelphia ahead of tonight's Harris-Walz rally. The Republican vice presidential nominee will shadow his rivals the next few days, going to the same places that they go. As Iran vows to attack Israel, avenging the bombing in Iran last week that killed Hamas's political leader. A rocket and drone attack today inside Israel, critically injured 2 people. The day after,
an Iran-backed militia targeted a base housing American forces in Iraq. Several U.S. troops were injured, and we are awaiting an update on their condition. The attack marked the 219th time that American forces have come under attack in the Middle East since early October.
That's Fox's Trey Yingst in Haifa, Israel. On Wall Street, there is a rebound from yesterday's global stock market sell-off that dragged the Dow down over 1,000 points. Right now, the Dow is on the rise, up 315. The NASDAQ is gaining 84 points. America's listening to Fox News.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
Why rescuers were in the water. Radar is clear. It is 81 and sunny downtown. I'm Kirk Darling from Moss Roofing. Here's what's trending at 10:02. A child is dead on the west side of Indy. It was Monday afternoon when police were called about a child going missing, but it was not long after they got to the Astoria Park Apartments and found the child in a pond. They got the child out, and EMTs tried reviving them on the way to the hospital, but once they were there, they were pronounced dead. A horrible day on Wall Street Monday, but IU finance professor Joe Fitter says there's no need to get wound up about it.
I wouldn't panic. That's really the key message. Don't panic. Don't go out and sell your 401k. Maybe don't look at it because it's going to make you upset, but there's no reason to panic sell.
He tells Wish TV the stock market has to have a correction every year and a half or so, and he said that the market was due for one. A middle school teacher in northern Indiana has been arrested on child porn charges. Donnie Burgess reports.
Greg Reichsecker is 57 years old. He was arrested this week and charged with 3 felony counts of possessing child porn. Indiana State Police are light on the details for now, but they say there's no evidence to suggest any local children from West Noble Middle School were involved in any way. Reichsecker is in the Noble County Jail and will likely lose the title of teacher soon. Donnie Burgess, 93 WIBC Mobile News.
A planned microchip making factory near Purdue is getting a big investment from the federal government. SK Hynix's semiconductor packaging and research facility planned for West Lafayette will be getting a federal grant worth up to about $450 million to help fund construction. The facility will also generate about 1,000 new jobs. How is Laiatu Latu acclimating to the NFL game?
Kind of like we thought, where with the run game and the pass game, is he a pass rusher? Can he play the run? But he's got the skill set, I think, we believe that can play both. So now it's just getting him used to the speed of the game.
Colts defensive coordinator Gus Bradley. The team is off today from training camp, but will be back at it tomorrow as they get ready for a preseason game against Denver. I'm Kirk Darling, on the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
Whatever happened to Tony Horton, the guy who created the revolutionary P90X?
2017, I was knocked down. A very rare type of shingles that went straight into my brain. My body was completely wasting away. I started researching everything related to building my muscle back again. That's when I learned about the potential of HMB plus vitamin D3 and what they can do when it comes to helping build new muscle.
So Tony developed high-impact protein by Power Life.
Just add 1 scoop of high-impact protein to a glass of water or your morning smoothie and enjoy the effects of that boss molecule and factory worker combination. reshaping your body each and every day. More energy, burn more fat, and probably drop a few pounds along the way.
High-impact protein by Power Life is a tasty once-a-day powder that comes in either whey or plant protein. Go to mypowerlife.com and use code TONE to save 30%. Tony even offers a 90-day guarantee. Go to mypowerlife.com or text TONE to 511-511. Text TONE to 511-511 today. All individuals are unique. Your results can and will vary. These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Tax fees may apply.
You're listening to Rob Kendall.
When we talk about sending money somewhere, we're talking about printing the money because we have no money.
And Casey Daniels.
My government would never lie to me, would they?
On 93 WYBC.
Good morning. It is Tuesday, August 6th. It's 5 minutes after 10. That's Rob Kendall. My name is Casey Daniels. And thank you so much for listening this morning. Can we talk about Donald Trump and how he was hanging out with that streamer? His name is Aiden Ross.
Who is this guy?
Okay, so this guy has 1 million followers on Kick. He's got 7
on who?
On Kick.
What on?
It's another streaming platform, right?
That's what that is.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that was a thing.
He's got 7 million followers on Instagram.
Wait. Why are you laughing at me? You do this when I say something like an old man thing, and you're like, ha, grandpa.
I think the whole gamer streaming thing is, I think it's just kind of funny.
Kick, what?
I've actually never even heard of Kick. I know about Twitch, but I don't engage with that kind of content.
So this is, okay, so I feel so much better because you're a young person, and you have not heard of this Kick?
Yeah. I've never heard, my first time hearing of it.
So they watch each other play games?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I guess it's to increase and improve their own playing experience. They come up with new strategies.
No, stop it. So like when I was a kid and we'd play Nintendo, if you had 3 or more people over at a buddy's house, you had to take turns playing Nintendo. I couldn't wait to stop watching those idiots and keep playing Nintendo again.
Turn.
These people just want to watch other people play video games?
Yeah, they discover new strategies, and I guess it's also good. They determine if they want to buy the game. They watch somebody else play it for a while. Plus, allegedly, they have entertaining personalities while they're playing.
Kevin.
Yeah, I guess it's kind of like watching sports.
Do your friends do this?
No, none of my friends do this. I think it's more for the younger crowd, like a little bit younger than me.
So this guy, what's his name?
His name is Aiden Ross.
He's famous and rich because he plays Nintendo games on the internet.
Internet personality and online streamer.
Wait. So you and I are doing a #1 rated radio show. Our station is nominated for a Marconi.
Yeah.
We are poor as dirt. And this guy plays video games all day?
Video games. He plays Grand Theft Auto and also NBA 2K.
Yeah.
He plays what?
NBA 2K.
He plays so he is rich playing a basketball game on Nintendo. And he got to meet the president of the United States. Why? Because he's good at Nintendo?
Well, apparently, Barron Trump is behind this. Barron talked his dad into doing this interview. And not only did this guy show up with a Rolex watch, but he also showed up with a Cybertruck that was banner wrapped with Donald Trump's infamous assassination photo.
Yeah, so I saw I thought the Cybertruck was rare. No, you're like, that's not no, Rob, it is.
I actually saw a Cybertruck last week in downtown Indy.
Was it red?
You're into
it was silver.
Wait, you're into all this new stuff. How do you not know whether a Cybertruck's rare or not?
I don't know how many they've made.
You're electric bike lady. You should.
I've only ever seen one in my life, and yeah, it was last week, but it's becoming
I saw
more
a
common.
red one a couple weeks ago downtown.
The reason I'm saying this is I was going down, where was I at? Jefferson Street in Brownsburg this morning, and a Cybertruck pulled out in front of me. And I was like, what is going on here on this little bitty, tight, narrow town street? And I thought about following it, and then I thought, I don't know if it can shoot lasers out the back or...
Yeah, it's like a military vehicle.
Will a guy, like in the old Nintendo games, a guy would come out the back with the high-capacity firearm and start shooting at me, so I decided not to do that. But I saw a Cybertruck in the heart of Brownsburg, and I have no idea why, because I thought these were super expensive and super rare.
I thought they were super expensive. Now, the company is producing 375,000 Cybertrucks annually.
Oh, so it's not rare. How many?
375,000.
What?
1,300 Cybertrucks a week.
So they're amping up the production.
Right.
You're telling me that there's going to be 1/3 of a million of these things in this country? There's that many rich people with too much money? Is this the new remember 20 years ago, the Hummer, where that was the status machismo thing, is I have a Hummer, and then these morons figured out they couldn't afford the gas to drive them
Right. Well, you would see a lot of Hummers in northern Indiana because that's where they were produced. They were made up there.
Remember that? Where it was like everybody's like, my status thing is I'm going to buy a Hummer, and then gas went to $4.50 or whatever it was, and then these guys were like, ooh, can't afford to go to work, and they tried to like trade them back in, and they got a fraction of what they paid. Is the Cybertruck the new
Hummer?
Is it electric, or does it run on gas?
I believe it's electric. It's a Tesla. Maybe it's a hybrid. We need to get someone on the show who owns a Cybertruck.
It's a battery electric medium duty full size pickup truck. Does that do anything for you?
So wait. Like you're driving a tank and it's electric? No way. No, I'm not disputing what he's telling me that is factual. What I'm disputing is, would you trust? You got to charge it. I mean, like,
that does seem like a pain.
Thank you. And it also seems a little wimpy, right? Like we're a country that runs on gas.
Its range is 250 miles.
So you would
on a charge.
I wonder what a charge costs. I would think. Okay, so help me with this, because you're artsy fartsy, new age, whatever. You would be more in touch. Well, you're buying an electric bike. Don't look at me like I don't know what I'm talking about. You're like, I'm
true.
shopping for electric bikes. Does it cost, or is there more charge needed for that
than
like a Tesla,
car.
like a traditional Tesla? Is there more charge needed for that?
I would think that you'd have to plug it in longer.
That's my question.
Right?
Like with gas, okay.
Because it's bigger, it's going to require.
If you when you bought the Hummer, that used a lot more gas than a little Toyota Corolla. So is it the same thing with the charge? Do you have to charge it longer to get that 250 versus if you just had a little traditional moon car?
Right. Like it would take it longer, just like, you plug in your phone. If the battery's down to 0, it takes longer to get it up to 100%. This is a bigger truck. It's going to take longer to get it up to 100%.
They look ugly to me.
I would think so.
I do not like the way they look.
Now,
it looks like something out of an iRobot movie or something.
The red one that I saw driving downtown Indy looked cool, but it kind of had a red shine to it. It wasn't that matte finish. I don't know if that was a special wrap or if that was a special paint job that it had.
So let's bring this full circle. So there's this kid. What is he, in his 20s?
He's 23.
23. He plays video games on the internet.
Yeah.
He's become rich playing video games on the internet. And he brought Donald Trump a Cybertruck and then did an interview with Donald Trump.
Correct. You want to hear part of it?
Yeah, sure.
All right. They talk about music.
And some of the artists I like better than others, but I like the other song better. So it's always tough.
Who's like your top 3 artists?
Well, we love Frank Sinatra, right?
Of course.
And there's a couple that I really like, but I don't like the people, so I don't want to really mention their name. But look at this list as an example. So it's such a great list. Aren't the Beatles always good?
Come on, they're the best.
Rolling Stones are always good.
Choose one. Let's
choose
what you like to choose. You just swipe like this.
Oh yeah. That's fantastic, huh? How about, and we like the Beach Boys. We always like the Beach Boys.
We do like the Beach Boys.
Who doesn't like the Beach Boys?
Okay.
Can you imagine those two for 3 hours having to be in a car with those two, and that is just all you get for 3 hours?
Well, what I want to know is,
back and forth.
Did Trump play GTA with the guy? Or NBA 2K? I mean,
I don't believe
that would be
so.
really fun.
Yeah, so they sat in that car. They talked about the 18.5-inch display. They talked about music. He ended up going with California Dreamin', and then he changed the song to Elvis's Can't Help Falling in Love.
So the premise of this is going for the younger vote.
That's it exactly.
If you believe the polling, Kamala's doing much better than Biden was with the younger people. You got the TikTok brigade out now doing the videos again for her. And so the premise of this was, this guy has all these young people followers. He's going to do this thing with Trump, and that'll get the young people to vote for him.
That's The Hope. It was an hour-long interview, and it drew...
What do you ask him about, like, how are you going to solve Israel? I mean, did he ask him any pertinent questions about how are you going to do anything?
Other than showing off his Cybertruck? Well, they had a crowd of 580,000 viewers at its peak. It was primarily male and conservative guys.
So that's who watches this guy play the games.
Yeah.
Huh.
So that's what Trump is doing while Kamala's out, vetting her
What
VP.
does it say about our society that a guy, I mean, that's it, right? He has no applicable talent. Like, he doesn't invent things. He didn't, start a great business.
He's famous for playing video games.
Like the guy plays video games, and he's a decent looking dude. I mean, he's fine. He's not Buddy Hackett, but he's, he's not Brad Pitt either. But he's a fine guy. He's like, what are we doing here?
Well, this is his effort to engage in younger voters, and he's taking Barron Trump's advice on who to talk to. So this guy's done some questionable things in his past. Some people aren't completely on board with him. I'm just, who is doing the vetting on behalf of Trump? Yeah, you should be seen with this guy.
Well, it sounds like it may not be a bad ploy. I'm more amazed that some guy plays video games, and that's where we're at in our... Okay, so when we were growing up,
that's how he makes a living.
Like young people that were famous, Michael J. Fox. He's a great actor. The chess guy, or whatever. What was the guy's name that played the chess? They made the movie about him. Bobby Fischer.
Okay, yeah. He at least, well, it's the same premise, I guess, right?
Wasn't he some sort of international star though? Didn't he beat a Russian?
Online gaming?
No, but he beat a Russian.
Okay, but maybe this guy.
On a computer.
I don't know who he plays against.
This guy maybe beats
Grand Theft Auto.
Russians in Call of Duty.
Right? It's just the new version of chess. He's an influencer. That's an actual job these days.
Yeah. Woo! Hey, it's True Crime Tuesday.
I know. We've got Aphrodite Jones coming up, and she's going to talk about her book, Levi's Eyes. It's on the way from 93 WIBC.
Tony Katz.
The problem for the political left is you are the ones who said Trump is afraid. You are the ones who said Kamala Harris is a genius. But we've got 9 million pieces of audio and video evidence of her word salads. So we know that's not true. But you made the debate the centerpiece, the focus. Now you're going to have to figure out what to do with that. With a debate.
Tony Katz, mornings 6 to 9 on 93 WIBC and WIBC.com.
You've been delaying. Don't worry. With Moss Roofing, you're not alone. They're here to help with your roofing and siding, making sure your home is a safe place for math homework each and every day. Choose Moss Roofing to transform your home's exterior with top-notch James Hardy siding, protecting your home from those Indiana storms and enhancing your curb appeal. Their inspections are always free, and they'll even give you a 3D design link so you can visualize the makeover before they even begin. Talk to Moss Roofing today, a second-generation family business based right here in Central Indiana for a job done right every single time. I love when they do that. MossRoofing.com, 317-747-3665. 317-747-3665. Tell them Tony Katz sent you. 747-3665 or online at Moss, M-O-S-S, MossRoofing.com.
The doctor's office that accidentally mixed up your files has your social security number. The power company that mistakenly cut your service has your payment info. And the hotel that lost your reservation has your passport number. You need LifeLock because your personal info is in endless places that can expose you to identity thieves. LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points every second. If your identity is stolen, we'll fix it, guaranteed or your money back. Save up to 40% with promo code NEWS at LifeLock.com. Terms apply.
Truck drivers, it's time to drive for a company that values your time. At Midwest Logistics Systems, you'll get home every day and have a predictable Monday through Friday schedule with occasional Saturdays. Plus, you'll enjoy the convenience of driving out and back routes and hauling no-touch, mostly drop-and-hook freight. MLS drivers also earn performance and safety bonuses and have access to a comprehensive benefits package. Explore our selection of local dedicated driving jobs and apply today at MidwestLogisticsSystems.com.
Go where the pros go. Drexel Interiors. For 1951 cabinetry, visit Drexel's Kitchen and Bath Design Centers at 146th and River Road, North Shadeland, or drexelin.com.
Kendall and Casey present True Crime Tuesday on 93 WIBC.
It is that time. It is True Crime Tuesday, and back this week, one of our all-time favorites, friend of the show. You know her from Investigation Discovery, True Crime with Aphrodite Jones. And Aphrodite Jones has a fabulous new book out. It's called Levi's Eyes, A Son's Deadly Secret and a Father's Cruel Betrayal. Aphrodite, you had me at the title. Tell us about this incredible story.
Number one, the man in this story, the killer, gave exclusive access to me, incredible access. I was able to get into his demented mind. He killed his son, Levi. When Levi was 23 years old, he dropped a truck on his son. He had his son doing something under the car, under a jack, under the truck, rather, and he got in the truck and wobbled it, like he said, like a wheelbarrow, and had it fall on Levi, who had two little girls, left a family behind. And the day of the murder, he actually took his son to the bank. They met each other at a bank and had his son sign over a notarized will, a handwritten will that says all of his earthly possessions would go to Carl, the father.
I'm curious, you'd have so many great stories, so many great books. How do these stories get on your radar? Does somebody send you an email? Is it a phone call? How do you become aware of all of these sick, twisted, demented people?
Well, I have to tell you, you guys and I could be talking about crime stories from here to eternity, because people contacted me constantly about stories. I was contacted when there was snail mail. Now it's easy. You go to a website, you go through, and boom, So I'm constantly contacted. How do I get to the ones that are, I wrote a book called All She Wanted. It was the first transgender murder case in America. Maybe we should talk about it sometime, but I changed the title to All He Wanted. Why did I do that? I think it's fate. Is that a crazy answer?
No, there are no crazy answers on this show. You've come to the right place with crazy answers, Aphrodite Jones. Aphrodite Jones is our guest. She has a fabulous new book out, Levi's Eyes, A Son's Deadly Secret and a Father's Cruel Betrayal. I want to come back to the story in just a moment, but first, how do you start putting books like this together? I'm always fascinated when I read great authors like you about, where do you start? How do you begin putting the whole story together? And how do you get access to these people?
Well, so that's very tricky. The first book I ever wrote, called The FBI Killer, which became a movie with Patricia Arquette on Lifetime, I was living in Appalachia, and this FBI agent killed his informant, who was his lover and was pregnant. I was so outraged. I was actually a radio news broadcaster at the time as well, and I was reporting on the radio there in eastern Kentucky, and nobody in the country knew about it. I was like, what the heck? So I wound up writing that book out of just outrage for the people who I call a mountain woman, or they called hillbillies, that was just not paid attention to. In that book, Rob, I did not have any access to anything. The FBI agent did a plea deal. There were no police reports. There were no nothing. The local police finally gave me an interview. The FBI stonewalled. Had I not known or known now what I didn't know then, I wouldn't have written the book. So I think it's a matter of, and then to answer it a little further, my second book, Cruel Sacrifice, which we've talked about, became a New York Times bestseller. It hit the top of the list, stayed there for months, still sells like a cult classic, whatever you want to call it. And once that happened, and that's a story that somebody who read my first book suggested to me. And you got to have luck, but then you have to know what you're doing. And also, once you've got some kind of success behind you, that propels people to want to cooperate with you. So it's almost a catch-22.
Aphrodite, I'm curious about in Levi's Eyes. You said, people want to work with you. How did your questioning of Carl evolve over the 2 years? So what happened, first of all, talking to killers over the phone is something I've done and in person for 30 years. However, with Carl, it was before his trial. I couldn't believe this man was going to talk to me before his trial. I had his ex-wife, Cindy, who was the one who trapped him, wrote a letter to prison. She had talked to him in a long time, actually to the jail in California. And he was waiting the trial. And then I started talking to him, and he's a talker.
We had a regular appointment every day, 12:30 my time, and we talked for an hour, 15-minute segments because that's all you can get for in jail. And then what happened is COVID happened. And because of COVID, he gets stuck in that jail for another year. And in jail, you have a lot more access to a phone than you would in a prison because people that are going to jail are there overnight. They're not long-term. So he was the star of the jail, talking to me every day, 5 days a week. And his way of thinking, I know how to draw out a killer. Let me put it that way. And I had so much time with him that I could really draw things out and then follow up with the next call and the next call, to the point where I'm sure if you guys read the book, some of the outrageous things he said.
Yeah, Aphrodite Jones is our guest. Her book, brand new book, Levi's Eyes, A Son's Deadly Secret and a Father's Cruel Betrayal. So when you're talking to a guy like this, who he did it, right? This is pure evil, at least in the moment of the thing that he was doing, likely pure evil in the person itself. Is there ever any intimidation? Is it like, oh my gosh, or is it just water off a duck's back to you at this point?
No, it's funny you mentioned ducks. No. What I actually do, this is bizarre, but what I do is I go into a room and keep all the lights out. And it's daylight, but I just keep the shades down. And I sit in that kind of a different room than my regular office because I have to keep it like confined to that. And then once I'm done with it, it's out of my head. You know what I mean?
So when you leave the room, everything leaves with you.
Yes, because otherwise, how could I function? And I will say, I have gone in, you guys, if you ever watch my show, there's a couple episodes. I did 63 episodes, but, some of those stories are incredible. And I've had to go in and interview killers and have done that. And I do get nervous because even though I've done this for 30 years, it doesn't matter. You're still sitting with the killer. I don't care if he has cuffs on, he's got his jumpsuit on, you get sheriffs in the room. It's a whole ordeal to do that on camera. But, I still have to take a lot of deep breaths before I go in there and face the person because I know it's a monster.
Because you spent so much time with Carl, were you able to gain insight about his psychological profile that you hadn't encountered before?
Absolutely. I mean, this man admitted things to me that some of which I put in the book, some of which I did not because just too bizarre and pointing fingers at other people that would be ready for a lawsuit. But inside his head is a demented soul. One of the things, if you've read it, he was raising ducks. And while raising ducks, he ran out of money, and his wife left him. So he decided, because he could no longer feed those ducks, that he needed to kill all of them. But did he use the gas to kill these ducks, thousands of ducks? No. He killed each one separately by wringing its neck and then throwing it in the burn pile.
When you are talking to these guys, like in this case, Carl, do you ever sit and wonder yourself, why are you talking to me? These guys are just basically incriminating themselves, and you're great at getting it out of them. Do you ever wonder, they're doing the work for you. Why do they talk?
In his case, because he's talking before the trial, it's bizarre because nobody does that. He's a super nut. But other people I've talked to, for example, there's a case that happened in Yosemite a long time ago, and the man decapitated one person, and there was a mom and a daughter and an exchange student up in Yosemite. And I'm on the phone with him, and he says, I don't know what made me cut that woman's head off. And I'm thinking to myself, I can't stay on this phone call.
Yeah, that's what we'd like to know, buddy. That's why you're in that position. Hey, Aphrodite Jones, tell us where we can get this fabulous new book, Levi's Eyes, A Son's Deadly Secret and a Father's Cruel Betrayal.
Go to my website, AphroditeJones.com, or just go on Amazon. It's there.
All right, you're the best, Aphrodite Jones. Thank you very much. We love you, and thanks for all the great work you do.
Love you, too. Thanks, guys.
Yep, True Crime Tuesday on 93 WIBC.
Whatever happened to Tony Horton, the guy who created the revolutionary P90X?
2017, I was knocked down. A very rare type of shingles that went straight into my brain. My body was completely wasting away. I started researching everything related to building my muscle back again. That's when I learned about the potential of HMB plus vitamin D3 and what they can do when it comes to helping build new muscle.
So Tony developed high-impact protein by Power Life.
Just add 1 scoop of high-impact protein to a glass of water or your morning smoothie and enjoy the effects of that boss molecule and factory worker combination. Reshaping your body each and every day. More energy, burn more fat, and probably drop a few pounds along the way.
High-impact protein by Power Life is a tasty once-a-day powder that comes in either whey or plant protein. Go to mypowerlife.com and use code TONE to save 30%. Tony even offers a 90-day guarantee. Go to mypowerlife.com or text TONE to 511-511. Text TONE to 511-511 today. All individuals are unique. Your results can and will vary. These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Tax fees may apply.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
Who they want in the White House with her. It's 83 degrees and sunny downtown. I'm Kirk Darling. Here's what's trending at 10:30. Their pick for VP is in on the Democratic ticket. Fox's Ryan Schmelz.
Minnesota Governor Tim Walz has been tapped to join Vice President Kamala Harris on the campaign trail, according to the AP. The 60-year-old has served as governor since 2019, and before that was a member of Congress from 2009 to 2019 and served in the National Guard. The RNC reacting quickly, calling Walz weak, failed, and dangerously liberal. At the White House, Ryan Schmelz, Fox News.
9 staff members with the UN Agency for Palestinian Refugees are losing their jobs over possible involvement with the October 7th Hamas attack on Israel. The move was announced Monday. The attack, which killed more than 1,200 people, saw over 250 people taken hostage back to Gaza. I'm Kirk Darling, on the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
Back to school season arrives in Indiana. It's time to focus on school supplies and those home projects you've been delaying. Don't worry. With Moss Roofing, you're not alone. They're here to help with your roofing and siding, making sure your home is a safe place for math homework each and every day. Choose Moss Roofing to transform your home's exterior with top-notch James Hardy siding, protecting your home from those Indiana storms and enhancing your curb appeal. Their inspections are always free, and they'll even give you a 3D design link so you can visualize the makeover before they even begin. Talk to Moss Roofing today, a second-generation family business based right here in Central Indiana. For a job done right every single time. I love when they do that. MossRoofing.com, 317-747-3665. 317-747-3665. Tell them Tony Katz sent you. 747-3665 or online at Moss, M-O-S-S, MossRoofing.com.
Fox, CNN, other news sources are reporting home prices are expected to decline into 2025, even after the election. Maximize your home sales price now before this downturn with the agent proven to sell for top dollar, Mark Dietel. Maybe you're worried about costly repairs or upgrades to sell your home. Mark Dietel guarantees your home sold at a mutually agreed upon price and deadline, or he will buy it. This is what Mitch from Martinsville had to say about working with Mark Dietel. My home was getting too big for me, so I was looking to downsize. After hearing about Mark Dietel on the radio, I decided he was the right choice. Mark was fantastic. He was able to get multiple offers within 48 hours and closed in 30 days. Call the local Indianapolis agent I trust and recommend, and the agent who guarantees your home sold or he'll buy it. Call Mark Dietel at 317-755-4232 for all the details, or go online to markdietel.com. That's Mark, DIETEL.com. Tell him Rob sent you.
Sometimes I struggle to get to sleep. My body stopped for the day, but my mind is still running. So I take ZzzQuil.
ZzzQuil, the world's #1 sleep aid brand, has a range of non-habit-forming products to fit you and your family's needs. Invest in a great night's sleep for the best you tomorrow.
I'm awake and ready to take on anything.
Better days start with ZzzQuil nights. Explore our products at ZzzQuil.com. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Discussing end-of-life matters can be uncomfortable, but it's also necessary to ensure that loved ones' wishes are well known ahead of time. This is Tina McIntosh, president of Joy's House and co-host of the Caregiver Crossing radio program. Up next, I'll share suggestions to help ease anxiety surrounding the talk.
Why Adult Day services? Because no matter how much you love someone, there are times when you need a break and someone to help. Let Joyce House be that someone for you.
Direct, open, and honest conversation is the best way to discuss end-of-life wishes. Knowing your loved one's preferred treatments and desired arrangements will ready everyone for when the time comes. Also helpful, creating a will or trust to ensure assets are distributed accordingly. And consider an end-of-life doula to assist your family during the process. More tips like this are available anytime at caregivercrossingradio.org. With new weekly content created by Joyce House and distributed in partnership with Network Indiana, we're an on-air and online support group for Hoosier family caregivers. Hear conversations with experts, access a library of online education, and more at caregivercrossingradio.org.
You're listening to the Kendall and Casey Show on 93 WIPC. It's time to hear from you. Kendall and Casey present Voicemails. Brought to you by QC Kinetics for non-surgical regenerative medicine treatment at 317-559-PAIN.
Here we go with your voicemails at 317-684-8444. It is Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC. And we start off, Rob. This one is for you and somebody talking about you running for governor or any other office.
Hey, good morning, and thank you for taking my call. Rob, this call is kind of for you. For years, I've heard many listeners call in, and they're like, Rob, why don't you run for governor or the House or Senate? And I know that you figured that out a long time ago, and I'm grateful that you're doing what you do. I think that you actually teach and reach a lot more people by having this show. Years ago in the early 80s, I remember reading a book called Who Really Owns What in America. The title was something like that. And, for example, it had a couple dog companies that made dog food or whatever that ended up being owned by Beatrice, that was owned by another company, that was owned by another company. And even though they had their wars on television commercials, they were actually selling, so it didn't matter. And I look at the House and Senate like that. You know, they'd burn you if you ended up being the House or Senate, because if they couldn't find anything that's ever in your past that would sink you, boy, then they threaten your family or your children. You know, I mean, it's that cutthroat. So I learned that a long time ago, and I see the House and Senate are just like that, all 100 senators and 435 House members. So that's why nothing can get done. But thanks for doing what you're doing, and keep it up, man. We'll see you. You too, Casey. Bye-bye.
That was very nice.
Mm-hmm.
Here's what I would need, I think, to run. I think the only thing I would ever potentially, if I had a head injury or amnesia or some something, would be governor.
Uh-huh.
I think I would only do it as a third party.
Okay.
Because that way the win.
It would mean so much more.
Well, it would that, but also it would be game over for whoever the Republican was.
Right.
Even if I don't win, you don't win either, and that would be a win for all of us.
Mm-hmm.
And I would probably need $3 million and you as my running mate.
So we're looking at a Kendall Daniels ticket.
Right.
Are we launching this today, right now, 2028?
No. We got to see what happens this year.
2032.
We haven't even endorsed in this year's governor's race.
Right.
But I think I would need a rich,
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
you need a sponsor of some sort,
I need a sponsor, yes.
Yeah. Which we would be completely transparent about.
Absolutely.
Obviously.
John
Rust.
Yes. I think here's been my things I think about at like 3 a.m. So Rust lost $3 million not being able to get on the ballot.
Right.
Rust likes us.
Yeah.
So I think if Rust had an ultimate get even with the Republican Party,
this would be a pretty good one.
Like if Braun were to win, then he could give us $3 million, and I guarantee that the Republican would not be governor in 4 more years.
Okay.
How about that?
I like your plan. I like where you're going.
I already know who I'd have run the campaign and everything if we ever were to do this.
Hammer?
But no.
Okay.
No. I mean, Hammer would be very involved.
He would definitely write the radio scripts for it.
He would be very, very involved. And the great thing about us is we would go in saying, we have nothing to lose. We're not hiding anything.
Okay, that's the question, though. Are we hiding anything? Are there any skeletons in your closet?
No, that's the point.
I need to know what my running mate has and is passed.
I have paid
before
all of
I'm
my
on board.
applicable taxes.
Uh-huh.
Let's face it, I've been on these airwaves for 8 years. I openly talk about failures with successes.
It's true.
And so I had a speeding ticket in 2006.
Mhm.
I had a seatbelt violation in 2008, and that is the...
You know what's scary about this is you're probably telling the truth. Like, you know exactly when you had that speeding
I
ticket.
have lived such a boring personal life, Casey, that I have had 2 run-ins with law enforcement in my life. That is it, period. I have owned multiple businesses. Some of them have been highly successful.
Mhm.
Some of them have been less than successful. My internet streaming company was wildly successful. Like most people in radio, I lost a lot of money in that,
Mhm.
and here I am with you today.
Okay.
Now your turn.
I'm clean. I'm good. There are no skeletons in the closet. There's nothing to hide. You know that I've been married for a long time.
Yeah, that's right.
I have an adult child.
It's true.
I would have to brush up a little bit more on my agricultural knowledge.
Right. You would
although I did spend a lot of time on Grandma and Grandpa Hartshorn's farm
Perfect.
off of Social Row Road in Centerville, Ohio, which, by the way, is right next to Middletown, where J.D. Vance is from.
Oh, wow.
I learned how to drive in Middletown.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the skeleton I have in my closet. I did drive for the first time at age 14.
See, so here is, we would totally think about this. We would totally dominate the earned media because
Mhm.
everywhere we would go, it would be a giant, freak show, and people would, what are they going to say next? What are they going to do next?
Mhm.
We could split the state up really well because you would be fine.
I do Northern.
Right. You could go on your
Right.
own. You're able to speak in public. It's
Mhm.
not, you're not like Garth from Wayne's World when you get in front of a large crowd. Think of the surrogates we would have. You mentioned like Hammer. We could send him out.
Right.
We've got all sorts of media contacts, celebrities over the years who could come out.
Right.
We would beat, sounds weird, but with all seriousness, we would beat the Republican in terms of earned media. Like, let's say it's Braun. Let's say Braun wins.
Yeah.
And then we run against Braun and Micah. We would smoke them in earned media. So if we had $3 million to organize.
Right.
I mean, we're laughing and having fun with this. But I don't walk into anything half-assed, Casey.
But you think there's some real potential here.
I think we could easily. Now, this is where it gets tough, right? Is if we're just running for the show itself,
Mhm.
and if we're just running to forever say we are let's say Braun wins and he makes all these promises and he doesn't follow through on them. And this is our payback, is we keep him from winning re-election.
Mhm.
I'm very confident we could get 25% of the vote. Now the 3 million is key. But I'm confident we could get 25% of the vote, which would ensure that a Republican is not the governor. But what does that really get us? If we don't get to 34%, and then those last 9, that's a big ass, Casey.
Mhm.
That's a big ass.
I do have a couple questions
Yes.
about this. One, we're really not seriously considering Nigel to be the treasurer.
No, Nigel wouldn't be in charge of anything, though we would use Nigel, but he would not be in charge of anything.
Okay, and when you say third party, are you saying libertarian or are you saying independent?
Well,
are we creating our own, new party?
Is this good enough radio that we work through this on the air for
Yeah,
audience?
I think so.
Well, it's half your show, so
Yeah.
if people don't like this, it's
I
Casey's
need to
fault.
know.
Well, you got 2 options. One, we could run as the libertarians,
Mhm.
and we automatically get ballot access.
Right.
Or we could go as independent,
Mhm.
and then we'd have to get a certain number, 30 some odd thousand signatures, which is a lot of work.
Right, we're going to have to crisscross the state.
But then we don't have to deal with the stigma of the libertarians.
Here's the deal.
Stain.
You're going to have to get a new
libertarians,
vehicle.
I love you guys, but your party's messed up.
Well, that's why I was wondering when you say third party, what you're meaning. You would have to get a new vehicle because I don't think your current car will get you
Get
in
a
all of the
Cybertruck.
counties.
Get a Cybertruck.
Right. Maybe you could do that, right?
Well, remember, didn't Diego buy that?
Well, that's what I'm
that
saying.
car with campaign money?
funds.
We'd have to ask Rust if that's
Right.
okay.
I bet he has like a tractor or something on his farm that he could use. There's Rob Kendall driving the combine down the highway.
Think about it. If you're Rust and you have infinite money, what better way to get revenge on people who totally screwed you over than just to do the ultimate get back at them? And you don't even have to do anything. Just write the check.
Yeah.
That's it.
I feel bad for Micah right now. Does he know that you're putting this plan in place?
Oh, it's not going to happen. I'm too hated here, Casey. I'm too hated here. And at the end of the day,
yeah,
I make people way more miserable having this platform and having the ability to reach all of these people. And so this is fun for us to talk about.
I don't know. We both have had successful business backgrounds.
That is true.
That we could We could run on that.
Well, here's the thing. Our boss, David Wood, just walked by, and he would not be able to live without either one of us.
That's
so,
true.
they would just, maybe we could use this as like a contract negotiation. If
you don't give us a raise, we're running for office. He'd be like, good luck with that. Okay, another phone call, and this one is about J.D. Prescott's appearance on the show yesterday.
So after you guys had J.D. Prescott on yesterday, I suddenly find myself with even less motivation to go and vote this year. My only motivation was that Beckwith was on the ticket. But at this point, I realize that no matter what comes out of the governor's office, the state legislature is not going to do anything to help me. And if they do something, it's going to screw me and benefit big business. And J.D. Prescott said it himself. They're going to eliminate property taxes for businesses and homeowners, and then they're going to charge the everyday working man a 7% service/labor tax that the big businesses who are also getting their property taxes eliminated are going to be exempt from. Once again, big business, big money, gets big tax break, and the working man gets screwed. I think the best thing that Beckwith could do is walk away from the Braun campaign, say, I can't do this. This man is a liar. The Republican Party are a bunch of liars. I am signing on to be Rainwater's lieutenant governor, and we are going to take this state and we are going to fix it. Then I'll be motivated to vote. But right now, J.D. Prescott, you took all my motivation to vote this year completely out of my sails unless I choose to vote for the Democrat.
Wow.
Well, if Braun loses by one vote,
there it is.
He's going to blame J.D. Prescott. Okay, so that guy's got some fair frustrations, but this is what we said. Okay, J.D. Prescott's not going to write the bill that ultimately becomes law. It's going to be Thompson, and it's going to be Houston and Bray and Braun, and they're all going to come up with some sort of something. That interview is valuable, though, because it keeps the conversation going forward. Now, that guy's right, and I told JD this. I've told him this multiple times. Including businesses in on this is not going to fly with people. You got some guy that owns a 1 million square foot warehouse, and you're giving him no property taxes when he's out there making money, not going to fly. Now, if it's some sort of thing where, okay, we're not exempting businesses, and now we lower the state sales tax on services to 4% or 5%. I don't know what the numbers are. Now we got a little different ballgame. But the point is you can't just totally jump down the guy's throat and go, I'm out on everything, because he's got ideas. And this guy over here has ideas. He's one guy who at least is out there saying, hey, we should get rid of property taxes. Now, is this plan the end-all, be-all? No. But he deserves credit for having a plan, which most of those guys don't do. And two, he came in here, and it's about, like I said yesterday, it's like biking across America. Don't get off the bike. You're going from California to Maine, and the key is don't get off the bike. You're going to go faster at times than others. You're going to make up more ground at times than others. But you got to get everybody on the bicycle, and that's what we're doing right now, is getting everybody in this conversation. Braun's job, and Mike has been telling people this, and he's right. Braun's job is to cast the vision. That's why Braun has to lead on whatever his plan is. Even if his plan isn't ultimately the plan that gets passed into law, he's got to cast the vision, and then he's got to keep Houston and Bray and those guys with their feet to the fire in order to get that vision across the finish line.
Well, I think part of the frustrating thing, though, is how long have you been talking about this right here on WIBC for years, right? And you've been saying this is going to be a problem. It's going to be a problem. And then everybody else realized and got their bills and said, oh, this is a problem. And it's just now that the lawmakers are, oh, we need to come up with a plan, when they should have been thinking about this years ago.
Yeah, and I know we're going to go to a break, but don't forget Jennifer McCormick's going to be here tomorrow.
We'll see what her plan is. She'll be joining us at 11 o'clock with Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC.
Tonight on the Tony Kinnacast, rockets fly in the Middle East, the UK protects violent migrants over children, and your 401k waves goodbye. And it's only Tuesday. Tune in at 7 p.m. right here or the podcast anytime.
Sinus pain. You know it all too well. It's constant. It's frustrating. The pressure, the headaches, the snoring, the constant clogged feeling. You're tired of feeling like this, but you've tried nasal sprays, over-the-counter medicines, even home remedies. No matter what you try, nothing gives you lasting sinus relief. You're tired of missing out and feeling miserable. There is something you can do, something different. Indianapolis Sinus Center. The physicians at Indianapolis Sinus Center have been serving the community with proven treatments for over 50 years. They know what you're going through, and they're standing by ready to offer you the best treatments to provide long-term relief. Breathe better. You don't have to keep suffering from sinus pain. Call Indianapolis Sinus Center today at 317-528-9650 and take the first step toward relief. 317-528-9650. That's 317-528-9650 or go to indianapolissinuscenter.com.
The doctor's office that accidentally mixed up your files has your social security number. The power company that mistakenly cut your service has your payment info. And the hotel that lost your reservation has your passport number. You need LifeLock because your personal info is in endless places that can expose you to identity thieves. LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points every second. If your identity is stolen, we'll fix it, guaranteed or your money back. Save up to 40% with promo code NEWS at LifeLock.com. Terms apply.
PA Jewelers in Brownsburg is your place for fine jewelry, custom pieces, one-of-a-kind pieces, vintage pieces, and also your place to sell jewelry. 3754 South Green Street in Brownsburg, PA Jewelers inside Premier Arms. You have old jewelry from grandma or jewelry you don't wear anymore? Come sell it for top dollar at PA Jewelers. I've sold jewelry there. My wife has. You're going to love the prices. PA Jewelers inside Premier Arms, 3754 South Green Street in Brownsburg, premierarms.com.
This year, Dell Technologies' Back to School event is delivering impressive tech with an inspiring purpose. Learn how Dell is helping Computer Aid, whose work is helping solar community hubs with tech and AI literacy skills to empower remote, displaced, or disconnected communities around the world. Help Dell make a difference and shop AI-ready PCs powered by Snapdragon X Series processors at Dell.com/deals. That's Dell.com/deals.
I'm embarrassed to say this. I've been using deodorant on my armpits for 30 years, and anytime I noticed odor anywhere else, I thought I needed another shower, I wasn't clean, or I felt like there was something wrong with me. And then my gynecologist told me about Lumi. It's a whole body deodorant for pits, feet, and privates that controls odor anywhere and everywhere on your body. Since Lumi, I never have to worry about body odor ever again, anywhere on my body. And that reassurance is worth every penny.
There's a special offer for listeners. Use code SHOWER and get 15% off your first purchase with code SHOWER, like the Lumi Starter Pack, Acidified Body Wash, or new Lumi Plus Sweat Control. That's LUME deodorant.com, code SHOWER for 15% off your first purchase. With over 200,000 five-star reviews, I am so sure you're going to love it. Or return it for free with Lumi's 60-day money-back guarantee. That's LUME deodorant.com, code SHOWER to save 15% today.
Here's great news, Indy. Rhino Shield has partnered with Green Sky Financing to offer no payments until 2026 for qualified buyers. Call Rhino Shield at 888-RHINO-41.
There he is from the #1 rated Hammer and Nigel program, Jason Hammer in the studio. Good morning.
We've got a new item on the merch store. We rolled it out yesterday, store.hammerandnigel.com. You can just go into Google and search Hammer and Nigel store as well. The Guy Relford t-shirt, the Monday Gun Day shall not be infringed shirt, and it's front and the back. This is the first one we've got where it's front and the back side. So get those orders in now. You can also buy your I Love Rob Kendall t-shirt, I Hate Rob Kendall t-shirt.
A bunch of people in the YouTube chat need the I Hate Rob Kendall t-shirt. All my money goes to charity, so you're not helping me in the least. I have a question for you. Years ago, you and Nigel, before you were on WIBC, did the Hammer and Nigel Show podcast.
Correct.
And that thing was fabulous.
It was wild.
I mean, it was
a different time back then.
Yeah.
And you used to go to Coach's Tavern and watch. You could watch it in person. Do those old shows exist anywhere?
I think BS, our producer, Brad Shoemaker, has them archived somewhere.
Yeah, but not for like public consumption.
Oh, no.
I would love to get my hand. Maybe you have to go to like it's like the skiff with the classified documents.
Right,
you have to
leave
go
your
to
phone in the cubby.
I would love to go back and watch some of those. We were talking about some of those off air. Man, that was
Were they video?
Oh, yeah. We called it a bar cast instead of a broadcast. So we'd set up shop at Coach's and, we'd have guests. It was all live streamed. You could watch the show, and we had sponsors, and our web traffic was beating most radio stations. That's kind of how we got back into the game.
The show was great, and the people that you had there were just, many of them are probably in institutions somewhere right now. but man, they were great. So, okay, very good. Hey, so Waltz, he's the pick. What do you think?
I think this is the best news for Trump supporters.
Yeah.
Because I think Shapiro would have helped landing Pennsylvania. I don't know if it gets her over. Maybe she doesn't need his help, but I think he does help in some way in Pennsylvania. He might be a super liberal douchebag, but he's a popular super liberal D-bag in that state.
Right.
So I don't understand how the governor of Minnesota, who loves socialism, can't get enough of socialism, defends it, is going to help Kamala Harris. If the argument is going to be, well, he can help with some of these swing states in the Midwest. Really? Is the voters in Michigan, are the voters in Wisconsin, do they give a rat's what Tim Walz of Minnesota has to say?
Well, you raise a good point, too. And I think what she ran into, because you're right, on paper, Shapiro would have been an A-plus pick for her. But there's so many anti-Semites in the Democrat Party now that she could not pick a Jewish man to be her running mate, and it shows what maniacs that party. She couldn't really even pick Mark Kelly because you've got those radical organized labor people who were mad that he voted against. There's just such absolutism that she had to go with the nut job, didn't she?
The internal polling had to have shown an insane amount of anti-Semites on the political left.
Totally.
Because I think really she was leaning toward Shapiro. Even that moron mayor of Philadelphia put an accidental tweet out there saying congratulations, basically, to Shapiro for being the pick.
Do you think that was accidental, or do you think that was a soft launch to get reaction?
That's a good question. I'm not sure.
I always question if they do things accidentally or intentionally.
Knowing what we know about the mayor of Philadelphia, I don't think it was an accident.
Yeah.
I think she's that incompetent.
Are you disappointed if you're Kelly or Shapiro? Because let's face it, if she wins, then the next basically 8 years, you're out of the picture. However, are you banking on people are going to wise up and realize who she is, and you're probably not going to win anyway, so now you're in a better position 4 years from now?
Yeah, I think they've got better days ahead of them, right? Now, I don't know about Kelly. Maybe this is the peak of his popularity, his peak of somebody looking at him for a national seat at the table. But Shapiro's a pretty young guy, and he's probably going to get reelected again if he chooses to run in Pennsylvania. So he's got quite the future ahead of him.
Hey, we were pondering last segment, if John Rust gives us $3 million, Casey and I are going to run on a team for governor in 4 years, or would consider it. Would you be our communications director?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Okay.
Absolutely.
See, I knew it already.
As long as at any point you don't pull me aside and go, that was a little too harsh.
No. That's the whole premise of our campaign. We're going to be the most extreme. We're going to be totally radical right wing from start to finish. No, nothing too extreme, nothing too out of bounds. That's why you'd be perfect.
I'm in. Count me in.
Okay, now we're going to have to ask John Rust for $3.5 million to pay for him.
Hammer blew all the money at the casino.
What do you have coming up today?
So we're going to play some caller roulette this afternoon. Spanglish will join us.
Nice.
Nobody can talk about people who love socialists quite like that guy.
Right.
And that's this, governor from Minnesota. So we'll dive into all that.
Thanks, Hammer. It's Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC.
Wealth-changing question. Has your advisor created a portfolio based only on your age and risk tolerance? That's simply not good enough. Your money deserves better, and so do you. At Creative Planning, our private wealth managers learn about you first, and then they create a customized plan and portfolio by partnering with our in-house money managers, accountants, and attorneys. Don't settle for a standard portfolio. Book your free meeting today at creativeplanning.com. Creative Planning, a richer way to wealth.
The hot summer and the hot deals are coming at Tom Roush Lincoln. 0% for 60 months is back. Get 0% APR for 60 months on every new 2024 Lincoln Navigator. Plus get an additional $4,000 off MSRP. You can also take $3,000 off every new 2024 Lincoln Corsair 70 available. So get in here for one of those hot summer deals at Tom Roush Lincoln in Fishers.
For well-qualified buyers with approved credit. Not all buyers will qualify. Taxes and dealer fees extra. Stock number L24401. MSRP 107,425. Stock number L24284. MSRP is 43,435. See dealer for complete details. details.
Did you know you can get your prescriptions for less at your local pharmacy? You can with GoodRx. It's the free app that can save you money on your medications. Just search for your prescription, choose the pharmacy and the price that works best for you, and then show your GoodRx coupon to your pharmacist at the drop-off counter. GoodRx works at over 70,000 pharmacies, including Walmart, Rite Aid, and Walgreens, and it works whether you have insurance or not. It's easy to save. Next time you drop off your prescription, check GoodRx. To start saving today, go to GoodRx.com. GoodRx is not insurance.
Join the Hammer and Nigel Show for Beer Sample Friday live this Friday at the Indiana State Fair Tap Room. Beginning at 3 p.m., sample Indiana brews and cocktails. Then enjoy freestyle motocross with the 406 FMX High Air Show in the Hoosier Lottery Grandstand. Go where the pros go. Drexel Interiors for 1951 cabinetry. Visit Drexel's Kitchen and Bath Design Centers at 146th and River Road, North Shadeland, or drexelin.com.
Coming up in 2 minutes, some perspective on yesterday's stock market debacle. Plus, soon the final leg of a long interstate project will finally be open. And the Notre Dame football team will need to go another direction at left tackle this season. I'm Kirk Darling. That and more coming up from the Technology Recyclers Studios after Fox News Radio. You're listening to 93 WYBC, WYBC HD1 Indianapolis. It's 11 o'clock.
This is a Fox News alert. The vice president picks a governor to be her running mate. I'm Dave Anthony. Tim Walz from Minnesota, who just posted on X, it's the honor of a lifetime, and that Vice President Harris is showing us the politics of what's possible. She texted her choice to her Democratic supporters, calling Governor Walz a battle-tested leader with an incredible track record of getting things done for Minnesota families.
In the text that went out, including fundraising emails that are now going out to folks, they talk about his effort to invest in infrastructure, his ability to reach across the aisle on some items, but he also is mentioned for his support of reinstating abortion protections after the overturning of Roe v. Wade. So that's, of course, an issue that's been number one on the Harris agenda, and we see that she is putting that forefront with her VP pick.
Fox's Mark Meredith at the White House. Walz was chosen over her other finalist, Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro. Republican reactions pouring in. Trump campaign spokeswoman Caroline Levitt just told Fox.
In Minnesota, he signed a bill giving licenses to illegal immigrants. Tim Walz, like Kamala Harris, is soft on crime. He also supports the defund the police movement.
Congressman Byron Donalds tells Fox it's a dangerously progressive ticket.
The Democrat Party has a massive anti-Semitism problem. That is why they did not pick Josh Shapiro, because it probably would have cost them Michigan and Minnesota.
That's where there's been a lot of pro-Palestinian support, angry over Israel's war in Gaza. Now, ex-House Speaker, Congresswoman Nancy Pelosi's pushing back, telling MSNBC.
To characterize him as left is so unreal. It's just not what the question. He's right down the middle. He's a heartland of America Democrat.
Governor Walz will be by Vice President Harris's side tonight as they rally together in Philadelphia. On Wall Street, a rebound. The Dow gaining back 473 points from yesterday's big loss. The Nasdaq up 270. America's listening to Fox News.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
Still ironing things out. Radar is clear. Sunny at 85 downtown. I'm Kirk Darling. Here's what's trending at 11:02. You may not think it now, but the economy is still weeding out some of the strain it felt from the COVID pandemic. That's part of the reason for yesterday's big stock market tumble. So says IU finance professor Joe Fitter.
The stock market was a bit too high. And so what it's doing now is it's coming back down to earth.
He tells Wish TV the less than favorable jobs report and a needed market correction also played a role. He urges you not to panic as he expects the market to rebound as it has been doing all morning long. After 16 years of construction, I-69 in southern Indiana will be fully opened today. Governor Holcomb will be joined by former governors Mike Pence and Mitch Daniels for the opening of the final interchange on the south side of Indy, marking the completion of the interstate. A man from Indianapolis will spend the next 60 years behind bars for murder. Harrison Silcox reports.
Cameron Anderson was shot and killed July 5th, 3 years ago. When a jury decided last May the man who shot him was Sean Dixon. Police say Anderson was found shot in the neck near Pendleton Pike, laying near his car, which was covered in bullet holes. Witnesses helped Lawrence police ID Dixon as their suspect, and cell phone records helped with the arrest. Dixon pled guilty to murder and will serve 62 years in prison. Harrison Silcox, 93 WIBC Mobile News.
You've heard differing property tax philosophies from your elected leaders. Republican State Rep J.D. Prescott tells WIBC's Kendall and Casey a 7% tax on services is a perfect middle ground.
Local elected officials can change rates. They can tweak some things to provide relief, but we give them the overall guidelines. So it is a state plan, or it is a state problem as well. It's something we need to address.
Think of it as a tax on services like an oil change. The Notre Dame Fighting Irish will need a new starting left tackle. The football team announcing that projected starter Charles Jugsaw will miss the 2024 season after tearing his pectoral muscles in practice on Saturday. I'm Kirk Darling, on the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
Whatever happened to Tony Horton, the guy who created the revolutionary P90X?
2017, I was knocked down. A very rare type of shingles that went straight into my brain. My body was completely wasting away. I started researching everything related to building my muscle back again. That's when I learned about the potential of HMB plus vitamin D3 and what they can do when it comes to helping build new muscle.
So Tony developed high-impact protein by Power Life.
Just add 1 scoop of high-impact protein to a glass of water or your morning smoothie and enjoy the effects of that boss molecule and factory worker combination. Reshaping your body each and every day. More energy, burn more fat, and probably drop a few pounds along the way.
High-impact protein by Power Life is a tasty once-a-day powder that comes in either whey or plant protein. Go to mypowerlife.com and use code TONE to save 30%. Tony even offers a 90-day guarantee. Go to mypowerlife.com or text TONE to 511-511. Text TONE to 511-511 today. All individuals are unique. Your results can and will vary. These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Tax fees may apply.
You're listening to Rob Kendall.
When we talk about sending money somewhere, we're talking about printing the money because we have no money.
And Casey Daniels.
My government would never lie to me, would they?
On 93 WIBC.
Good morning. It is Tuesday, August 6th. It's 5 minutes after 11 with Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC. So Salesforce is flipping their position on remote work. They were an early champion of remote work in Indianapolis, but now they're asking their employees to come back to the office at least 3 times a week.
It is amazing how many things that were like the new it during COVID that have now just totally are now no longer the it thing, and they're like, well, that didn't work. And
it's almost like they made stuff up.
Well, this is my point, right? That it was the new it thing, and that if you stood in defiance of it, then you were some sort of, whether it was on the medical side that you wanted to kill grandma, or if you were saying people should come to work, you were some old fuddy-duddy who didn't get it. And now we have seen with almost everything with COVID that we were told either ended up being wrong or an outright lie. And we said in the early days of COVID, when it was me and the women, this thing of people not coming to work at the major metropolitan cities especially does not work. Because the whole city, and it was true in Indianapolis and other major cities across the country, rent, businesses, etc., are priced around, exist around the idea of foot traffic. There have to be a certain number of people in these places to make rent, leases, whatever, work. And when you see the gutting of the amount of people that are downtown, that limits the amount of people who are shopping, eating, etc., you see basically the death and destruction of the major metropolitan city.
Yep. So the company told their employees across the country last month that its work model is focused on in-person connection.
No kidding.
So this is a major change from just 3 years ago when one of their executives declared that the 9-to-5 workday is dead.
Yeah, but people like in-person communication in the business world. Right? You may not like in-person communication in your personal life, and many people would just assume, just as soon never see or talk to anyone. But if you're giving someone your money, if you're getting a service provided to you, if it's a business helping your business, you want to see that person, you want to deal with them, you want to know that they're out there and exist and are actually putting some effort into your company or your project or whatever, not just some guy sitting at home with a headset eating Cheetos in his underwear.
Okay, so this comes on the heels of what's going on in Nassau County. Now, I don't know if you saw this, but you want to talk about just making it up as we go along and then changing things a few years later. Now, this is in New York, but the lawmakers there have now passed a bill making it a crime to wear a mask or face covering in public.
Of course they did. Look, humans, first of all, society works better with human-to-human interaction in person because humans work better when they interact with other humans in person. The reason you saw the increase in depression and drug overdoses and suicides and et cetera during COVID is people are not designed to be kept away from other people. Now, there are some jobs, and it works for some select, unique individuals, where working from home does work for them. They do a job, like my wife works in cybersecurity. She doesn't, her job does not rely upon her interacting. She's not in sales. She's not in business. So a certain amount of days each week, she is afforded the ability to work from home. She has the same level of human interaction at home as she does at a workplace.
Just a different desk.
Her job is to, secure the fort, and she does that on her own. But she recognized this, even though she was not required to go back to work. She started of her own volition going back to work on her own a couple days a week because humans are meant to interact with humans.
Right. She wants the interaction with other people.
So
an opportunity to get out of the house.
It doesn't mean to say, every person should absolutely have to go to work, no ifs, ands, or buts. But what area where everybody shut down? Did schools do better with the e-learning? No, of course not. Or did these businesses do better? No, of course not. I can't tell you, I mean, maybe somebody, no, you're wrong. There's this one industry that blah, blah. But for the most part, not only did it not get any better, it got worse. This should not have been. Everything about COVID was wrong. The masking didn't work. The vaccine didn't work. People working from home wasn't this great thing that was going to revolutionize business as we knew it. The 6 feet of social distancing didn't work. It was all stuff people were pulling out of their backside. Society has sustained itself for a very long time and worked quite efficiently. Why? Because it works.
I'm just blown away by what's going on with this Mask Transparency Act. So the ban here in Nassau County, it makes wearing a mask a misdemeanor and punishable up to a year in jail or $1,000 fine. Before, I mean, look where we've gone. Before, it was wear a mask or we're going to arrest you. And now, don't wear a mask or we're going to fine you.
I saw somebody coming from Gen Con. This must have been Friday. And they're walking down the street and they have a mask on.
Yeah.
And it's like you're on the street. You're by yourself. You're outdoors. What are you doing? Why? Like, is the virtue signal that strong?
It is.
Like, is that, I mean, at this point, that's clearly what we're doing because the masking, I mean, you've heard it admitted, it didn't work. It didn't stop, I am amazed at how we allowed society to be destroyed. And
we're paying for it now, aren't we?
Well, we sure are, right? And everybody who remembers listening to this radio time slot at the time, and when we were doing the Sunday show back then as well, remember me pleading with people, don't give into this, don't do this, don't go along with this. There's nothing about this. That fear is a very powerful thing, Casey. And the politicians have recognized, whether it's the aftermath of 9/11 or whether it's COVID or the financial bailouts of the mid to late 2000s, that if you put enough fear into people, they will generally do whatever you tell them to do without rhyme or reason. But because of the fear, they will go along with it.
Okay, so Indiana's current and former living governors are going to all unite on August 14th. This is for the Art of Leadership with 4 gubernatorial Hoosiers. This is going to happen at the Indiana State Fair. It's a foundation. They're hosting this evening. It's a reception and dinner. So you've got Eric Holcomb is going to be there, Mike Pence, Mitch Daniels, and also Evan Bayh.
So they should have renamed this One Genius and 3 Idiots.
The genius is Mitch Daniels?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. I wanted to make sure.
Look at the condition of the state under Evan Bayh, and look at the condition of the state then under Mike Pence, and now certainly under Eric Holcomb. And then in the middle, there's this bright spot. And whatever you want to say about Mitch Daniels, and this is why I was amazed that people were so upset when he was considering running for Senate. Mitch Daniels got it. Now, did he do everything perfect? No. Did he make some mistakes? Yes. But in terms of where the state was and the willingness of Mitch Daniels to lean into hard issues and try to address those issues, and here was the key about Mitch Daniels. He understood the details. He understood the details, and he understood and cared about how things affected regular people. Look at what he did at Purdue. All those years with no tuition increase. Mitch Daniels understood good government. He understood fiscally responsible government, and he understood empowering the citizens as a part of that government. Look at the groundbreaking things that took place. Now, the stadium thing, our longtime audience knows that was horrific, and he should be run out of every room he's in and then let him back in because he's Mitch Daniels. But momentarily run out of the room for that stadium deal that takes money from poor and middle-class people and gives it to a billionaire. But you think about not only like property tax reform, but the idea that Mitch Daniels recognized, hey, we don't need this surplus. And if it reaches a certain level, we should give it back to the citizens. I mean, there were so many things that Mitch Daniels did that were so groundbreaking. And then to have his hard work and good work followed up by people like Mike Pence and Eric Holcomb, it's just like, what happened to us?
So the event website says that this special event isn't going to be about politics or the issues of the day, but rather it's a friendly conversation about their approach to leadership. And they'll also reflect on their time as governors and their impact, the impact that they had on Indiana over the past 35 years. Think about that. They're going to stand up there and talk about the impact they had as governor.
Is there a moderator? Like can I go and just ask a question? Will I be shot on sight?
You can go. However, the cost
there's money.
Might prohibit you from doing that.
If it's 7 cents, then I'm out. But
you can buy a table of 8. Which runs from $1,200 to $5,000 with some additional perks included.
Who's benefiting from this? Does it say?
It does say it is for the Youth Development Fund.
That sounds like the human fund that Stanza had. It's like a made-up thing.
It's the Harvest Dinner. It benefits Celebration of Champions and also 4-H youth.
So what are the odds? Is there a moderator? Does it say? Is it like some esteemed member?
I'm not seeing a moderator.
So what, they just
I'm sure there is a host. Somebody's going to...
So it's about leadership? So what are the odds somebody asks Lockdown McGee
how he led the state during COVID?
Yeah, will they ask Lockdown McGee, what science did you trust? Because the science has now disproven everything you did. Would you care to answer that? Will they ask Lockdown McGee about leadership, where he calls law-abiding, peaceful people who want their businesses reopened to go back to work human petri dishes, but calls Malik Muhammad noble? Will they talk about how Malik Muhammad threatened to seize the governor's mansion on live TV, and instead of throwing his ass in jail, Holcomb gives him a VIP meet and greet, and then he leaves and goes off to Portland and attempts to kill cops? Will that be a question about leadership with Eric Holcomb? Or will they do what they normally do, these butt sniffers and ass kissers, just kiss his backside and tell him what a great job he's done?
I think it's going to be that one based on the price of the table, because you're paying $5,000. I don't know if you're there to be asking questions. You're there to be in the presence of all of these great leaders. I mean, that's right. Or why else would you pay that kind of money?
Wouldn't you agree with this, that of the people you named, the only one that would be remotely interesting, who remotely showed quality leadership as governor of the state of Indiana, is Mitch Daniels? Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. Yeah. He'd be the one that you would want to hear from the most.
Totally.
Yeah. It is Kendall and Casey. It's 93 WIBC.
The roster is set.
According to the Associated Press,
the game is on.
AP says that Kamala Harris selected Minnesota Governor Tim Walz to be the vice president nominee.
Trump, Vance, Harris, Walz.
Walz believed by the campaign to boost the vice president's profile and chances of winning, securing parts of the Midwest.
Follow the sprint to the finish on your 2024 election information station, 93 WIBC.
Hey guys, it's Rob for Life Church. You know, we love Life Church, man. Every time you go, you just feel like a member of a family. And that's what you are at Life Church. One big family. They're warm, they're welcoming, they care about you. And this Sunday, they would love the opportunity to get to know you, to meet and welcome you and your family. Over the years, many WIBC listeners have found a home at Life Church. I love hearing from them. Sundays at Life Church, and you can see for yourself what it's all about. They make it easy for you. Campuses all across central Indiana, Noblesville, Fishers, Eagle Creek, and Pendleton. Awesome online services. Learn more about everything. LifeChurchIN.com.
Your home is your sanctuary. Get the peace of mind you deserve with a free estimate on a Generac automatic standby generator for your home from Generator Supercenter, the nation's #1 Generac generator dealer. With expert installation and 24-hour monitoring, Generator Supercenter won't leave you in the dark. Financing is available. Take control of your power today with Generator Supercenter. Call 317-827-0808. Generator Supercenter of Indianapolis, 317-827-0808.
Did you know you can get your prescriptions for less at your local pharmacy? You can with GoodRx. It's the free app that can save you money on your medications. Just search for your prescription, choose the pharmacy and the price that works best for you, and then show your GoodRx coupon to your pharmacist at the drop-off counter. GoodRx works at over 70,000 pharmacies, including Walmart, Rite Aid, and Walgreens, and it works whether you have insurance or not. It's easy to save. Next time you drop off your prescription, check GoodRx. To start saving today, go to GoodRx.com. GoodRx is not insurance.
With T-Mobile, you can get tons of benefits and still save on every plan versus AT&T and Verizon. Because nobody likes having to choose. It's like getting romance and sci-fi.
I love you. Also, I'm a robot.
Or being a dog person and a cat person.
Who wants a treat? Who's a good boy?
Or like being an extrovert and an introvert.
This is so fun! I can't wait to go home!
At T-Mobile, you don't have to choose. You can get the benefits you want and still save on every plan versus AT&T and Verizon. See how much you can save with our savings calculator at T-Mobile.com/switch. Plus, we'll pay off your locked AT&T phone up to $650, and you'll get a new 5G phone for free.
Pay off via virtual prepaid card in 15 days. Free phone up to $830 via 24 monthly bill credits with qualifying plan and credit, plus tax and $35 device connection charge. Contact us before canceling to continue bill credits, or they stop and a required finance agreement balance is due. Bill credits end if you pay off device early. See T-Mobile.com.
Go where the pros go. Drexel Interiors. For 1951 cabinetry, visit Drexel's Kitchen and Bath Design Centers at 146th and River Road, North Shadeland, or DrexelIN.com.
It's the Kendall and Casey Show with Rob Kendall and Casey Daniels.
I thought you can see that you're in love with each other.
On 93 WIPC.
It's a new deal for the Kansas City Chiefs. They have signed Harrison Butker to a 4-year deal, $25 million, $25.6 million. It's an extension. It includes a $17 million guarantee.
So he is the kicker for the Kansas City Chiefs. He is now that is the most amount of money ever given to a kicker.
Yeah.
And this has set off a firestorm because he gave a commencement speech last year, or maybe it was this past year.
Yeah, it was
this most this most recent graduation cycle, where he talked about essentially the values of a traditional life and a traditional marriage, and how his wife doesn't work, right? Like, and how good their family is, and basically bestowing the virtues of motherhood. And of course, the left just lost their mind over this, and they have been totally cheering for his failure. And he's really good. And, you know, the Chiefs said, we like players who are good.
We want to win, so we're going to keep him around. So he's going to be with Kansas City through 2028. And here's the interesting part about this. He represented and negotiated the deal himself.
Yeah.
He didn't have a talent agent. He didn't have a lawyer. Would he walk in the office and say, here's what I want. Take it or leave it.
You know, my wife and I have had this conversation a lot because obviously we have a toddler now who is reaching an age where we're getting ready to probably put her in daycare of some sort. And we struggled with this. My wife has said multiple times, like, am I failing as a mother because we're having to put her in daycare? And I said, no, the reality is, as middle-class people, we both have to work full-time jobs. But if you're a guy like that who makes that amount of money,
right?
Yeah, I think your kids would be better off if you have a parent
who can stay home with them
full time and devote all their attention and not have to work a full-time job and try to raise your kids. Absolutely. I don't think that makes you a bigot or an ist or a phobe or sexist or any of that. I just think it's, and let's face it, mothers, if you could write your perfect script, mothers by design, by their DNA, are better nurturers and raisers of kids than fathers.
Yeah, I mean, it's just the difference. It's
what we are as humans.
It's what makes us compatible.
It is, right? I mean, it's like, again, my wife and I, we split all the duties of raising our daughter, and, she'll go out and shop or do things or get things or whatever, and I'll stay home, and then we'll trade. But let's face it, she's better at, if you just said, let's grade who's better at raising the kid, she's better at it, as most moms have been throughout human history, because you birthed the kids. You have the bond with the child that the father doesn't have. Doesn't mean I don't love my daughter to the ends of the earth and back, and doesn't mean I don't do a good job taking care of her, but it's just my relationship with my daughter is different than the relationship my daughter has with her mother. Like,
Absolutely.
That's the way for all kids.
Yeah, and any parent will know that the father will have a different relationship with his children than the mother does.
Right.
But that's the way it's supposed to be. You're supposed to complement each other.
Sure.
And fill in those gaps.
Yeah, and so this guy got so much flack over just kind of stating the obvious, and it was like, this is where we're at in this country now. You state the obvious, and you're some sort of villain who hates everybody. And look, for the majority of people who are not making NFL-level salaries, it's just simply not feasible for both parents not to work. I mean, my wife and I crunch these numbers a lot. And, I was working a second job for a while and had an opportunity to potentially make that a second full-time job. And it was like, well, I guess we could try to do that, but then I'm literally never home. And what sort of life is that for either one of us, or marriage or whatever? So that's just it's not feasible for all people. It's not feasible for many people. It's something many people would love to have, but the reality is what he said was not in any way ridiculous or outside the mainstream, and good on him for getting rewarded for being good at his job.
No, and I think what Gabrielle is struggling with is something that all working moms deal with at some point when they're raising their children. It's, that guilt. You want to be there for your kids, but at the same time, you have to not be there to be able to provide for them.
Well, and I think that's one of the things that so many parents who, deeply love, and let's face it, there are some parents who are part-time parents and full-time everything else, and hey, where my kid goes to daycare or whatever is out of sight, out of mind. Are they alive when I pick them up, right? But for us, we were not going to just put them at any daycare. We were not just going to put them at some chain, and we got very fortunate. We have a longtime family friend who had an opening, and it's a faith-based daycare, and we've known them for years, and we know the high-quality care and attention and learning that Olivia will get. But I think this is the thing that people who love their kids deeply are really struggling with now, because first of all, daycare is really expensive, Casey.
It is. Yes, I know it is. But
when did that happen? I was in daycare as a kid. I don't remember it being that expensive.
Well, how old is my daughter? She'll be 23 this week. At least 23 years, Rob. It's been that way. That's not new. I mean, that's not a new what's going on with the economy and inflation. It's always been expensive.
I asked this lady, because she's got like 4 or 5, other kids that are part of this, and she's great. But I asked her, I said, when we went over and visited with her for a couple hours, I said, I struggle with one. How do you
have multiple? Well, normally when you have multiple kids in the same daycare, you start to get a discount.
Yeah.
But if you're, don't skimp. That's not the area that you want to skimp on. No.
I was asking her, how do you watch 5 kids at the same time? I was saying, I struggle with one kid, not struggle, but it's like, oh my gosh, this is like a full-time job.
It's a lot of work.
And she's like, got it down. That's why I'm a trained professional.
That's it.
See my references.
One other thing that's going on with Harrison Butker from Kansas City, Morgan Wallen, the country star, he had a concert at Arrowhead Stadium on Friday, and he walked out on stage with Travis Kelce and also Patrick Mahomes, and he was wearing the number 7 jersey. Morgan Wallen was wearing number 7, a Kansas the Chiefs jersey. And many people were saying, all right, we've got the endorsement from Morgan Wallen. This is what we need. And I hate to break it to the fans, that's what he does. He always wears number 7. It was his high school jersey number. And so any town he's in, he'll grab the sports jersey, and it's always number 7. And it had the name Wallen on the back, not Butker.
Was Wallen the guy who threw the chairs?
He is the guy who threw the chair.
And then was he the one who was kind of
He broke up with the girlfriend, and she...
Yeah, but didn't he have some issues before that where he said some
He said not nice words?
Yeah.
Same guy.
How has he not been canceled? Like, how
Oh,
does
he was for a while.
Well, apparently not if he's playing Arrowhead Stadium.
Yeah. Well, he was the guy who was supposed to be on Saturday Night Live, and then they pushed that appearance
Do you know
back.
how much he apparently cares if he's selling out Arrowhead Stadium? 0. That's how much he cares that he wasn't on. How do we decide who gets canceled anymore, Casey?
Well, look at Snoop Dogg, right?
Well,
he's running around the Olympics with...
Who is the decider on the canceling? I mean, is there a formula? Because this guy, he said the words. Like, didn't he say the big one?
Yeah.
Wallen, didn't he say the...
He did.
The big no-no?
His neighbor caught it on tape.
Yeah, and then...
But he was at his home. I mean, not that makes it...
He said the word.
He said the word. Not that makes it acceptable on any level. However, he was in the privacy of his own home, and it was a neighbor who was, like, snooping on him.
Okay, but then... So you kind of... He gets a free pass on that because, like you said, it was in his house, whatever. But then... He did another thing. Like, is this a 3 strikes, you're out? I mean, is it like... I'm just trying to figure out...
I guess he's got enough fans that are going to sustain his popularity, right?
I'm going to need a book, of a manual.
A manual of when the boycott actually holds. I mean, it's somewhat holding for Bud Light. I think Target kind of took a wobble. Harley Davidson is the one that is now struggling with the woke or no woke.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's right.
John Deere's another one.
What are we doing next?
We have to talk about what's going on with Google and the antitrust.
Yeah, that's not good for them.
Yeah.
That's bad.
It's Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
Who she's picking. I'm Kirk Darling for Window Nation. Here's what's trending at 11:30. Minnesota Governor Tim Walz is Kamala Harris's pick for VP.
In the text that went out, including fundraising emails that are now going out to folks, they talk about his effort to invest in infrastructure, his ability to reach across the aisle on some items, but he also is mentioned for his support of reinstating abortion protections after the overturning of Roe v. Wade. It'll be interesting to see what kind of reaction President Biden will offer at some point today.
Fox's Mark Meredith. The U.S. women's soccer team will help to advance to the gold medal match of the Olympics today as the U.S. will be facing Germany in a semifinal match. Team USA advanced to the semifinals with a 1-0 win over Japan on Saturday. The U.S. men's basketball team also has Brazil in the quarterfinals. I'm Kirk Darling on the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
People are talking about Window Nation. Their Window Nation customer Vicky says, we couldn't be happier. This was a great experience. She's just one of over 33,000 5-star reviews. That's because Window Nation is all about the value. And this August, they're giving you great value during the Window Nation anniversary sale. Right now, buy 2 windows, get 2 free, plus no interest or payments for 24 months. And if you act now, you'll get an extra $250 credit.
Window Nation values your satisfaction in their quality, service, and affordability. That's why they stand behind their windows with a lifetime warranty. Window Nation was also recently ranked highest on Forbes' list of best window installation companies. So you can trust Window Nation for high-quality, affordable windows. Hurry, this big sale ends August 31st. Schedule that in-home estimate right now at 866-90-NATION or visit windownation.com.
The light is fading, your hands are sore, and the last tool's been put away. Now is the time to feel the satisfaction that comes with a job well done. But when you get your tools from Harbor Freight, something about the job feels a little different. Your wallet. Because we believe that everyone deserves hardworking tools at hardworking prices. And that's what we have here. So, whatever you do, do it for less at Harbor Freight.
At Franciscan Health Indiana Blood and Marrow Transplant Program, we treat you like family. Our cancer specialists provide around-the-clock physician access and deliver groundbreaking treatments to face cancer head-on. With over 25 years of experience treating complex blood cancers, we're a top 100 hospital for bone marrow transplants by CareChex and rank in the top 12 nationwide for allogeneic transplant survivals. Visit franciscanhealth.org to learn more and find hope in our compassionate care.
Oh no, stomach issues again?
Stomach issues? Who are you? Your pancreas. I could be the real reason for your diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose oily stools.
I thought it was my stomach.
People often do, but any of these symptoms could mean having a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and speak with your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
40 years of B Window.
And 80,000 Indiana homes with windows, doors, siding, and bats.
Pam and I are happy to announce B's 100 employees now own B Window, and Patrick Renard will lead B as CEO.
And B will continue the customer-first feeling that George and Pam built. And to celebrate B employee-owned, B's offering employee pricing 60% off, plus 18 months, no interest, no payments.
Proud to be employee-owned. Woo! Trust me.
Healthcare.gov is here for you when life happens. If you lost your health coverage because of turning 26, going off Medicaid, leaving your job, or moving, you could be eligible to enroll in new coverage now. And if you need to update your coverage because of marriage or having a baby, you could also be eligible. But don't wait. There's a limited time to enroll. Check your eligibility at healthcare.gov today. Life happens. Get covered. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
You're listening to the Kendall and Casey Show on 93 WIPC.
So Google has violated a U.S. antitrust law with its search engine business. That's what a federal judge said on Monday, and that apparently gave the tech giant a big court defeat, and it could potentially reshape how millions of Americans get information online, or at least what search engine they use. But my question is, don't you think that Google will appeal this with their millions and millions of dollars?
Yeah, of course they're going to appeal it. But the bigger issue here is, and Bill Gates found this out for many, many years, certainly in the 1990s, and there were many books written about this, that tangoing, is that even a verb? Tangoing, clashing with the federal government generally tends to be a fool's errand that does not end well for you. And the federal government, throughout the years, with any mega corporation, certainly that has somewhat of a stranglehold on any given industry, is almost always going to intervene and try to put a stop to that. Whether you can believe those reasons are altruistic, or you can believe they're political, or you can believe they're about power, whatever it is, and it may be a little bit of all three of them, they're going to step in and they're going to try to stop it. They've done it to many, many companies over the years. It was Google's turn. Let's face it, Google is on the search engine version of Kleenex or Band-Aid or Coca-Cola. It is the name, right? It's a verb. Even if you
Google something.
Right, thank you. Even if you're not, I mean, I'm doing it right now, in fact. I'm looking up something about that neighborhood in Brownsburg that they're trying to stick a bunch of data centers in the back of, and there was a news story about it last night, and I just knew, well, I can look for it, or I can just put these words in, boom, 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 there it is, thank you, and there's my story. It is amazing how much Google has revolutionized life as we know it.
Yeah.
I mean, it is up there, way up there in terms of, inventions of the late 20th century, early 21st century that have totally revamped. I mean, even if you're not using Google, you say, I'm going to Google it, right?
When it's become a verb.
Well, and all these people, you remember there was a while, they're super liberal. They're manipulating what you see. I use DuckDuckGo. I use Bing. It's like, Google is infinitely better than all of those, okay? Like, it's just easier and it's straightforward, and I'm smart enough to know when I'm being manipulated, and I generally just search for very specific things. Like, I'm not going to Google trying to get wide swaths of information on how to vote or who to vote for. I'm looking for specific things, like I'm looking right now, and it's quick, it's easy, it's painless, and I'm looking at the thing I want to look at.
Okay, so the government's saying you can't do this, but how do they undo what's already been done?
Well, that's
the next step.
That's the great question, right? And it's the same thing when they came after Microsoft. And, again, when you have a company that has such a stranglehold on this type of industry and has become a universal, like you said, it's literally a verb at this point. I'm not sure exactly how you undo it. Yes, Google's going to appeal this. They'll take it all the way to the Supreme Court, and it'll be an interesting antitrust type of case that gets decided that we'll probably talk about. Legal scholars will talk about for a while. But for now, they'll probably continue to operate as is. My guessing is the ruling will be stayed or has been stayed, and life will go on as normal.
So does that mean that companies like Apple and Amazon have to look out? Are they next?
All the time. Because they dominate the industry, right? Like if you're an online shopper, what are the first two names that come to mind? Amazon, eBay. If you're an online shopper, what do you think of first? Like what was the one?
Like Uber Eats tried to get into the delivery of stuff besides food.
What was
they're still doing it, but not at the level of Amazon.
There was a one in the early 2000s that was you could buy discounted stuff offline. Oh gosh darn it. Well, I'm having a Joe Biden moment here, but there was a secondary market when Amazon was coming of age that was pretty.
I keep thinking of Etsy, but I know that's
no.
not.
I'm saying like it was literally like Overstock. Was it Overstock?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, and you could get stuff there. Is Overstock even a thing anymore? Are they still around?
I believe so.
Okay. Well, you don't. I mean,
weren't they bought by Bed Bath & Beyond?
Well, you used to see all the time, these ads on television. It was Overstock, even pre-Amazon, and now you don't hardly see. At least I don't watch a lot of cable, but at least on the streaming services, you don't see hardly anything for them. So anyway, point on all of this is if you're a big business, if you're a business that dominates an industry, the government is always going to try to mess with you. They're always going to try to intervene in what you're doing. And if you look at the track record of the federal government's success with these sorts of cases, they win a lot of the time.
Well, here's Donald Trump, and he's talking about Google.
And when you put up the word assassination, it also sent you to Kamala. And people were really angry at it. Look, something wrong with Google. I don't know if it's the people running it inside or the smaller people, so to speak, the people that are actually doing the nuts and bolts. I doubt it. It's got to come from the top. And it's so illegitimate, they have to do something about it. And, I mean, the market speaks. Everybody should maybe just go off Google, not use it. There's so many other things.
Okay, so he's not talking about antitrust with Google. He's talking more about the algorithms and the SEO, search engine optimization. And he says, go off Google. Well, what's number two?
Well, right. Is it the DuckDuckGo? But this is the point with all of this, like with these search engines. Okay, this is not the government, right? Like you don't have to use Google. We're naming other ones that are out there. Like you don't have to use them. I mean, I know Google is manipulating anything I put into the search bar, but I'm also a reasonably intelligent human who has some critical thinking skills, who I know what to sort through, and I don't go to Google to tell me how to vote, tell me about my politicians, tell me about current affairs. Like I'm going for specific things. Like I told you, the story that I wanted to read, I couldn't find it on the website, so I figured I'll just throw it in there. I know the keywords to put in. It'll pop up. Boom, it popped right up. I have no complaint with that. I know that it's feeding me stuff that it wants me to see, but isn't part of the onus on you as an adult to recognize that?
It is Kendall and Casey. It's 93 WIBC. Now, if you go to Google right now and you type in recreational marijuana, now legal in Ohio, it might pop up an article from WIBC.
Oh, the side piece.
Yeah, because
You're still doing that?
Yeah, every day, Rob.
How exciting.
That's a thing that's happening today. Ohio's new recreational dispensaries are open for adults 21 and older. So here we are in Indiana, sitting in an island in a sea of cannabis. We're surrounded now by all states. Kentucky only allows medicinal marijuana, but they still allow it. It's not against the law there.
Why don't we have medical marijuana here?
Isn't that the question?
What possible reason with a straight face could there be with every state around you having this? Even if you want to take the recreational out of the equation, which we should have that too. We should have that with safeguards and with public health, et cetera. But what possible reason?
Do you think it has anything to do with that $1 billion company down the road?
Thank you. You're answering the question for me, Casey, right? Big Pharma does not want medicinal marijuana because it will interfere in the pill game, which they make a gajillion dollars off of. And look, there are some great pills that have done a lot of great work for a lot of people. I'm not saying that they're not needed, but what I am saying is our state spends millions upon millions of dollars every year addressing an opioid epidemic, which not in all cases, but in many cases, especially as it relates to pain management, et cetera, that if a doctor wants to make a choice with a patient, a doctor licensed by the state of Indiana, who the state of Indiana has given their stamp of approval to, that this person has the education and good thinking skills necessary to provide medical care to people. If you want to do that, what business is it of mine, and what vested interest do I have in preventing you from doing that?
So you're talking about medical freedom here in the state of Indiana.
Now, I make the same argument. Now, there need to be very strict guidelines on where this can be done. Like, you don't want the public square, smelling like a Grateful Dead concert. But in your own home, what do I care what you do in your own home? How does that affect me at all?
I'll be really interested to see what the prices are if somebody is in, because I've been told that it's very expensive in Illinois based on the taxes that they add on to the cost of the product. Michigan has, a farther drive for people here in central Indiana. So I'm really curious as to what the price point will be in Ohio.
Well,
so where people in Indiana, although it is still illegal to do that, where people will choose to go.
Well, and why the argument is always think of all the revenue that you could get for the Treasury. Well, I want the government to have less money, so that's not really going to sway me. But I'm swayed on the fact of what you and your doctor decide to do. If this doctor is a licensed medical provider to treat your ailments, is none of my business. Like, it does that in no way affects me. Now, the recreational, I guess it's a different story. But again, we have alcohol that's legal. It's way more harmful in many cases than marijuana.
Yeah. Buying marijuana legally in another state does not permit possession in Indiana.
What are we doing next?
We're going to talk about school lunches.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
School's back.
We're going to go flashback to when you were young. It is Kendall and Casey. It's 93 WIBC.
Coming up on the Hammer and Nigel show this afternoon, how's the market doing today? Kamala Harris rolls out her vice president, and we're going to laugh, we're going to drink, we're going to have a good time. Please join us 3 to 7, 93 WIBC.
Sinus pressure, congestion, snoring, being unable to sleep, being unable to breathe. Yep, it's another sinus infection. You've Googled, watched videos, tried over-the-counter sprays, medications, and home remedies, but nothing ever works. There must be some kind of treatment that can help, right? Indianapolis Sinus Center understands how draining it can be when you try treatment after treatment without any relief. That's why they've been serving and treating the community for over 50 years. Indianapolis Sinus Center has performed thousands of procedures and helped thousands of patients find lasting relief they didn't know was possible. Patients like you. If you've had enough of sinus pain, pressure, and congestion, schedule a visit with Indianapolis Sinus Center today. Call 317-528-9650 and take the first step toward breathing easy. 317-528-9650. That's 317-528-9650 or visit IndianapolisSinusCenter.com.
The Indiana State Fair is back, and so is American Dairy Association Indiana's renowned dairy bar. From August 2 through 18, we'll be serving up all the great dairy bar treats you've been craving, like our rich and creamy signature milkshakes, scrumptious grilled cheese sandwiches, thirst-quenching ice-cold milk, and more. This year's featured treats include the Blue Ribbon Blueberry Milkshake, plus 2 new grilled cheese creations, the Hot Honey Pepperoni Pull, and the Melty Mess, a combination of multiple cheeses that meld into a taste sensation you're going to love. Indiana Farmers Dairy Bar. Since 1941, a great Indiana State Fair tradition. We're on Main Street opposite the Indiana Farmers Coliseum, and we're open every day during the fair from 9 to 9. See you there.
Brought to you by American Dairy Association Indiana, your Hoosier Dairy Farm families. Find out more at wintersdrinkmilk.com.
Sometimes I struggle to get to sleep. My body stopped for the day, but my mind is still running. So I take ZzzQuil.
ZzzQuil, the world's #1 sleep aid brand, has a range of non-habit-forming products to fit you and your family's needs. Invest in a great night's sleep for the best you tomorrow.
I'm awake and ready to take on anything.
Better days start with ZzzQuil nights. Explore our products at ZzzQuil.com. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Folks ask, Salty Pete, what's the best part of being a pirate? Hello? It's all the buried treasure. I've been following this here treasure map all day. Time to dig. Oh, I once knew a lesson, old trolley with... Arr!
You just hit a power line.
Contact Indiana 811 at least 2 working days before picking up a shovel. It's the only way to dig. Learn more at 811.safedigindiana.com.
Sponsored by the Indiana Utility Regulatory Commission and aired by the station.
Truck drivers, redefine your work-life balance with a home daily driving job at Midwest Logistics Systems. As an MLS driver, you'll experience the ease of hauling no-touch freight, earning predictable pay, and having a consistent Monday through Friday schedule. Plus, MLS drivers fuel their paychecks with performance and safety-based bonuses and enjoy a benefits package with healthcare, a 401k, paid time off, and more. Stop missing out on valuable time at home. Apply today at MidwestLogisticsSystems.com.
You want to listen all day to WIPC, but you don't always have time. Don't worry. There's a podcast for that. The WIBC Mashup. Daily highlights from your favorite hosts, Tony Katz, Kendall Casey, and Hammer and Nigel. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.
Between the darkness on the street and the houses filling up with light. Between the stillness in my heart and the roar.
Rob, I want to go back to your youth, days when you were much younger than you are right now. And I know you used to walk to school every day, right?
Yeah.
Did you pack your lunch or did you buy a lunch?
It depended. It was a little bit of both. You know, lunch was affordable back then. It was like $1.25 a day, and that got you, all your meal and your milk.
Right.
And so it was kind of almost in a weird way cheaper to just buy your lunch at school versus pack a lunch back then.
Were you one of those kids that was like, you would look at the menu and see what it was, and that would help determine if you liked it or not?
They used to send you home like as I recall, a physical like monthly menu where you could look, and then you'd say, obviously on pizza day you would not, bring a lunch or whatever.
Right. Pizza day and chicken nugget day were always buy.
But
days.
then they had the thing where you could pay for the week in advance. And I don't even know if this is a thing anymore. It's probably not. The lunch ladies and the lady who kind of ran the show took the money. At my elementary school, she was like a celebrity, right? Because she was your gateway to getting your lunch.
Yeah.
And she knew all the kids by name and by face. So you weren't bull crapping her. You were not sneaking past her. So the lunch lady, and every, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 times throughout elementary school, they would rotate into a new head lunch lady. That was a big deal.
Yeah. I have to imagine, since you were a growing boy, you probably chowed down your entire lunch.
Yeah, I wasn't screwing around.
Yeah. There's a new study that came out that said nearly a third of parents say they wind up eating their kids' lunch for leftovers for dinner because they're not eating them at lunch.
Okay, so I have entered this phase of my life, but it's not with my kid, it's with my wife.
You're cleaning up what she doesn't finish.
Well, I told you what she does. She'll go to the store and she'll see something that she wants in the moment.
Yep.
But then there's like 4 of the thing, or in the case of these like little pizzas or whatever, there's 12 of them. And then she's just like, hey, we're out of room in the freezer. Yeah, because you bought all those pizzas and you ate one of them.
Because she likes to shop at Costco.
Right.
So you're eating the same thing forever. Now, when you guys go out to dinner or just regular dinner at home, are you finishing up what she prepared for herself?
Oh, yeah. See, I've got a thing, too, where sometimes, depending on where you go, I can just eat off hers.
Right.
Split
an entree, maybe?
We go places where people know us, so they don't, look at us weird or whatever. There's a couple restaurants in town where we know the people who own the place. So I'll do that. Yeah. I mean, basically, you would think you do that for a kid. No, I do that for my wife.
Right. So Jim and I have gotten to the habit of splitting an entree rather than both of us ordering an entree.
Yep.
But we've got the most popular lunch items. Sandwich, of course, is at 61%.
You mean
what moms are packing in kids' lunch?
Yeah, sure.
You've got your sandwich and then chips and then juice. That is the classic combination.
Now, I was blessed from the standpoint of I lived everywhere I went to school. I lived within walking distance. And literally, my high school was, I mean, they've since now paved paradise and put up a parking lot.
Well, sure. You've got all sorts of fun stuff going on there.
Auxiliary gyms, and now there's a road.
Did you hear that Brownsburg has 3 superintendents?
They did.
Now?
They have 3. 1, 2, 3. We're really concerned about funding for the schools, but they have 3 superintendents. But when I was growing up, and this was especially in the pre-Columbine days. Now, it changed a little bit after Columbine, but I could just literally walk out the back door, walk across the little ditch, and I would be at my house, and I would eat lunch at home each day because it took 2 minutes to get home, 2 minutes to get back. They gave me 20 minutes to screw around and let the dog out and, whatever else. And then after Columbine, you could still get out the back. You couldn't get in the back, but I would just walk through the front, and they were like, we'd load that guy so much. Just leave him alone. Just don't. I mean, as a child, I was as I am as an adult. And so imagine.
Precocious?
Well, imagine if, the lady working the front desk was the Republican Party, right? And she's like, just leave him alone. Just let him go. We know he's not going to harm anyone. We know he goes to school here. Just let him go and don't antagonize him. So I had a good little system basically all growing up. I was always able to get home in a quick manner and do things other kids could not do.
Yeah, use the bathroom at home too, probably.
Oh, totally, right?
Yeah, you wanted to be on your home base,
Absolutely.
I'm sure. Of course you did. So when I was in high school, we had open lunch and we could leave every day as well. And it was like clockwork, Noble Romans.
Yeah.
Breadsticks and cheese.
Now, did you have, not to date you, but did you have kids who were literally smoking in the parking lot when you would? Yeah.
No, there was an actual smoking section
Sure
in the parking lot.
Yeah.
Signs supplied by the school saying this is where you should smoke.
It is really interesting when you think about how long we as a society function just based on the honor system, right? Think about how many years kids were doing that in how many schools across the country, and pre-Columbine, nobody really pulled any shenanigans worthy of saying we got to change how the whole structure is done, right?
This will show you something interesting. There was an actual sign when you left the school to remind you to put your seatbelt on that was not previously there. Like that's yeah. There's a new sign at the exit.
I do wonder what a school lunch. Now, like I said, I don't have much experience with this because I always went home, so I rarely ever. Even as a kid, I would look at the prices on those lunches and was like, I can make that at home way cheaper. Why would I do this?
Yeah.
I wonder what a school lunch even.
What it costs today?
Like what is a basic.
Or what's on the menu?
School lunch.
I mean, it's gone much more healthy than it used to be.
Oh, really? So can you still get like a tenderloin or, they had like a chicken tenders or cheeseburgers or, no, that's not a thing anymore?
Oh, I'm sure you can still get chicken nuggets. Of course you can. And chocolate milk, right?
Yeah, that's not a thing.
Were you a chocolate milk or?
No, I was a regular milk.
Yeah.
I wonder today too, if I could still pull that. Now there's no way. I bet you can't even get in the front door of a school now.
Oh, no, you have to ring a bell.
Yeah, there's no way I could just walk in.
Yeah, you have to ring the buzzer and somebody will ask you who you are and why you're there.
Yeah, that's
And then
true.
they'll let you in. So,
but it's all over for me now, Casey, in terms of my memories. That has all been plowed down, and there's giant auxiliary gyms, and there's a road, and there's, it's just, well, it is what it is, Casey.
Well, you'll be packing lunches soon enough for Olivia.
Oh, no, she'll be paying for her own lunch. I'm keeping a tab.
As soon as she gets a job,
she's
right?
accruing debt. The first day of school, she starts accruing debt. And don't think I won't have
when she graduates, what are you going to do? Give her a bill?
That's right. She's going to get that journal I've been writing for her and a bill. Those are two things.
Nice.
Here's your life in words, and here's what you owe.
And here's what you pay. All right, well, that's going to do it for us today. Thank you, Rob. Thank you, Kevin. And thank you for listening. It is Kendall and Casey on 90.